All right. So, oh man, you can't win them all, obviously. But no moral victories here. You know, the Rams, yeah, they go up against the 5-0 now 5-0. Undefeated NFC reigning champion Philadelphia Eagles. But they could have won this game, and we are going to discuss it. I'll bring people on. This one sucks. I mean, it really does. First off, to fall 2-3. Cooper Kupp, just plug and play. Right away. Okay, I haven't played since week 10 of last season. No big deal. I'm just going to come out 8 catches for 118 yards. Puka Nacua making everyone look stupid that thought he couldn't produce when Kupp was back. Matthew Stafford looked like maybe the best quarterback in football the first half, and then the second half left a lot to be desired. I thought the offensive line played hard, played well. Kyron Williams showed you he can even run the ball against a really good defense, which he's been doing, but he did it again. And then the defense, I mean, they only gave it 23 points despite the fact, the Eagles had the ball almost the entire game. So I'm going to give my thoughts. Then I'm going to have people come on, give their thoughts, and then we'll call it a show. So first off, appreciate everyone who's been following me. Everyone's been saying, really, really kind things in regards to my 500th episode on DTR with Alexis. I think I responded to almost everybody, but if I haven't responded to you yet, just know I'm very busy and I will get to you as soon as I can. But I appreciate the love for sure. So let's talk about it. Matthew Stafford, the Rams offense, they looked about virtually unstoppable as you would expect in the first half. But this was a tale of two halves. It's been a tale of two halves. You go through the Rams, it's like, I don't know what it is with this team and not being able to finish games in the second half. I mean, we saw with the Colts game, obviously you want to be able to win. You just all you care about really is winning. But it just at the end of the day, man, it's like, this has to change. And I'm sure McVay knows that. But this is brutal. This is just absolutely brutal. Now, I don't really know what more McVay could have done. The defense, let's be honest here, the Eagles are more talented. They got a way better team. Now, the Rams can beat teams like this. They can beat anybody. But I also think the Rams can lose to anybody because the Rams, when they get up, they don't seem to, hold on, And I think right now what we've learned about this 2-3 Rams team is I think they are better than a below 500 team. I think they are only going to get better and, grow. But I think as of right now, it's really frustrating because you do see these teams. Like, keep in mind, this team had Jalen Ramsey. They had Bobby Wagner. They had Leonard Floyd. You had guys like that. And I think this team against the Niners, against an Eagles, the talent is starting to really show. The Eagles offense is just insane. That offensive line, the running back DeAndre Swift, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, who they held in check very well. I think, and Jalen Hurts, of course. I just think we have to be honest with ourselves. The Rams could absolutely string together a huge bunch of wins down the stretch and win the Super Bowl. It wouldn't shock me. Okay, let me just make that very clear. I'm not saying the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl, but I'm saying all it takes is you have to win 4 games in a row or whatever. They could do that. They could do that with Matthew Stafford. Imagine just as the season progresses, these younger guys get more comfortable and better and everything. That's certainly possible. But my biggest thing right now, I think, is that, it's frustrating because you can clearly see there is a talent deficiency here. The Eagles are more talented. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, I still think is the best trio at the receiver position. I think Atwell had a down game. I wasn't really expecting that. But Stafford missed the touchdown there. I think Stafford, has a lot of blame in this game. He was unbelievable in the first half. And then I think the second half, he's missing throws he's made all year and all last year and all year before that and so forth. Stafford deserves a lot of blame. He didn't throw a pick, but this is actually a very interesting little discussion we can have here. For the people that are so focused on Matthew Stafford's interceptions, and yes, they're frustrating, but you get what you pay for, right? You know, this guy's going to take shots down the field, and he's going to get picked off occasionally. The way I see it is, would you rather have a game like this where he throws 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and misses a bunch of throws down the field? Or would you rather have him throw, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, isn't missing those throws, but now he's turning the ball over? See, that's the thing. You could sit there and say, I don't want him to turn the ball over, and that's fine. I get it. I don't want him to turn the ball over either. But this is kind of the price you pay in that regard. Okay. He didn't turn the ball over, but look what you got. So I think he definitely, he took that sack. I think he was trying to be more careful in this one. I think he played a little hesitant at times, especially in that second half. He was unbelievable in the first half. So let me just say that right now. It's not me saying, I'm not dogging on Stafford. I've been the biggest defender of his out there. But I'm just being honest. And I think we should be honest here, is that Stafford, big reason why they lost this game was because Stafford missed throws that he could have hit. But also a big reason was missed tackling. And God, guys, can you remember a game in which the Rams tackled poorer than this? I wish you could see missed tackles in the stat sheet, but there's going to be a lot of them on, because I know PFF will have those up. There's going to be a lot of missed tackles. There's going to be a lot of missed tackles, folks. It's not going to be great. There were so many. And the problem is, when you miss that many tackles and you're already talking about explosive guys, you're talking about guys that are bigger. I mean, A.J. Brown is just filled out, man. That dude is huge. Dallas Goedert, DeAndre Swift. I mean, you got to be able to bring these guys down at least on the first and second tries. 17 missed tackles, our clause is saying. What's up, Jeremiah? If they actually miss 17, that's insane. It really is. So, yeah, just a frustrating day at the office. The missed tackles, that just can't happen. This has to be better, and this was not acceptable. And we had a lot of that. Thank you for subscribing, Henry. We had a lot of that today that I noticed. 3 tackles for loss with Ernest Jones. I thought he was outstanding today. I thought Ernest Jones just plays with his hair on fire, played really well. Jordan Fuller had a great pass breakup. The guy I definitely want to highlight is Duke Shelley. He came in probably the most pivotal moment in the entire game. And Witherspoon goes out with a cramp. So he's cramping. He goes to the locker room. And then all of a sudden, in comes Duke Shelley, who's typically a slot corner playing on the outside, and he gets the swatted ball on 3rd and 4. They throw the end zone, targeting, I think it was Devontae Smith. Huge pass breakup. Duke Shelley played his lights out in that one. So I think that was huge, and that definitely deserves recognition. Moving forward here, because, we could talk all day about this game, but I do want to say something. The Rams, no matter what quarterback they're playing, need to get more pressure than what they're getting right now. It's not acceptable. It's not. Byron Young, I thought he had some moments. Aaron Donald, they bottled up pretty well. He still got his pressure here and there. O'Shawn Mathis, if they didn't hold him and it was actually called, that would have been huge. O'Shawn Mathis, I thought, had 2 pressures based on what I saw. He looked really good, number 32. They're saying 0 pressures. Mark, there's no way they had 0 pressures on Jalen. Oh, you're just saying 0 pressure. It felt that way. Yeah, no, they definitely got pressures on Jalen because he moved out and everything, moved out of the pocket. O'Shawn definitely had 2 pressures, and that pissed me off that they didn't call that. A-Dog, McVay pissed me off. Thank you, by the way, for the 5. McVay pissed me off by not going for it on 4th and 5, punting the ball back to the Eagles with the defense was gas, but then he goes for it on 4th and 12. Yeah, that was frustrating. Baboon June, thank you for the gifted subs. Appreciate you. Everyone drop a W in the comments section for Baboon June over on Kick. I appreciate you. That means a lot. It makes it easier, too, after a loss like this. One of those frustrating games, man. One of those games where you're like, really, it's already the 4th quarter? Yeah, that's what the Eagles do. That's why it's not fun playing the Eagles. They suck the clock out. Like they hemorrhaged the clock. It's bad. Jason, I saw your super chat from earlier. Thank you for the 10. End of the half drives killing momentum twice now. We need Chase Young, in my opinion. Still proud of the team. Thanks for what you do, Jake. I watch and listen all week. Appreciate you, Jason. Yeah, I think at this point, the elephant in the room we have to address, okay? The Rams can beat any team, and they will be a playoff team, okay? They've looked really good, and they've looked at times. But I'm going to focus on the really good. Their defense is better than we expected, although this game I thought Jalen Hurts did the best job of anybody against this defense. Here's what I'm going to say. It's time. It's time, Les. It's time, Sean. Go get a pass rusher. I know I'm not the only one saying it. I know you guys in the comment section are thinking the same damn thing. I'm so tired of it. Like, O'Shawn looks good. Byron has his moments. Aaron Donald, love him. Love Kobe Turner. Michael Hoyt, like, that was it. Zach Van Valkenburg had the sack, but, like, you know, and that was a nice play, but it's like, get an edge defender, a consistent edge defender that's on the other side of Byron, that's on the other side of a Mathis, that is working in tandem with a Aaron Donald, with a Kobe Turner. It's so damn frustrating. To me, Jalen Hurts had all day to throw. You can't give him all day to throw. He had over 300 passing yards. I mean, I don't think Hoyt has to go, Baboon June. I think Hoyt needs to be more of a rotational guy. Okay? Hoyt, and it's impressive that a 310-pounder is able to run almost stride for stride with guys 50 yards down the field. But it's not working. He's struggling mightily. And this is something that everybody and their mother is bringing up week in and week out. Michael Hoyt is a liability in coverage. Oh, well, they continue to put him out there. And this is one where I know you have the people that say, trust Snead and McVay. We trust the coaching staff, trust this, trust that. Okay. But at some point or another, you have to admit that we're right in this one. Okay? This isn't just, oh, well, you know, you're not in camp, you're not in practices, you don't know. No. It's not hard to see this isn't working, and the Rams are going to have to make a change, and they are going to have to get an edge defender, like a legitimate star edge defender, whether that's Chase Young, whether that's Rashawn Gary, Josh Uche. I don't care. They need to get somebody. And I can justify it by, okay, as long as you don't move your first round pick, I'm good. Because now if you don't move your first round pick, say you move your second, you move a fourth, you go out, you get your pass rusher, then sign him long term. There you go. Personally, I think Josh Uche fits this defense like an absolute glove. His ability to drop in coverage is there. I don't know, man. I'm at that point where I'm just like, yeah, it's time. I've been talking about edge presence now for every single week, 5 straight weeks, 6 straight weeks, whatever. Good Lord. I did call it, by the way, on the Downtown Rams podcast. I said the Rams would stop the brotherly shove, and they did twice. It was too late, but they did. They stopped it twice. Yeah. So all in all, I think there's some mixed reactions here. Akello looking like one of the best signings in the Sean McVay, Les Snead era. Looks awesome. Just imagine if they had Akello Witherspoon with Jalen Ramsey last year. That would have been something. But yeah, right now they're 2-3. Where's my meter of concern? I think it went up a little bit just because of the way that they're struggling to finish games. I don't care that you played a great team. You literally you disappeared in the second half. I don't know what that is, because you could say what you will. Like I mean, my only theory is that they get cold. I said this on the Bleacher Report stream. I said, look, the offensive line got cold being on the sideline for almost the entire game. Okay. I think they got cold. I think they got out of their routine. I think they got out of their rhythm, and I think it hurt them. Like, beat them over the head like a stick. So yeah, that's all I'll say there. Upcoming the next 3 games, you got the Arizona Cardinals at home, you got the Steelers at home, and you got the Cowboys on the road. The Steelers, by the way, this is how funny the NFL is. The Steelers, who don't feel like anywhere near as good as the Rams right now, are 3-2. The Arizona Cardinals, I believe they're 1-4. They lost again today, 34-20 to the Bengals. And then you had what was it? The Cowboys. And the Cowboys are 3-1. They could be 3-2 after tonight. Probably will be against the San Francisco 49ers. And then the next 5, Cardinals, Steelers, at Cowboys, at Packers, Seahawks. So we'll see what ends up happening here. But I feel good the Rams can get to 4-3 going to Jerry World, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, they got to be able to get over this second half hump, though. You know, it's got to get over the second half hump. It's going to be a problem if this plagues them the whole year. Okay, so that's where I'm at. Okay, if you're focused on anything, be focused on that second half. Like, I don't know what is happening with that, but you know, it's going to be frustrating, very frustrating. So you look at the Colts game, second half, Bengals game, second half, 49ers game, second half. The only one that didn't have a second half was the Seahawks game, which they actually got better in the second half. So I don't know what's going on there, but I know, you know, they didn't abandon the run. I'll say that. I got to be fair here. I'm going to stick by it. I don't think they abandoned the run. They didn't have that many possessions, guys. They really didn't. They did a good job, I thought, with Kyron Williams. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Now let's start getting people in here, because this isn't going to be the longest live stream. I'm actually kind of feeling under the weather. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I kind of feel a little bit off. So I'm trying to keep this stream to somewhat of a minimum, but I'm going to try to bring on everyone I can. So if you guys are interested in calling into the show, I am taking callers right now. Waiting room over on Discord. I'll drop the link right now for you. All right. CT Rams fan Mathis did play. I think I gave him 2 pressures. I don't know exactly what it ended up being. Monty, thank you so much for the 5. What's going on, Jake? My brother, offense let us down the second half, but I'm not too mad. Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, you give him almost a pass because it's the Eagles, but I don't want to give him a pass because I gave him a pass against the 49ers. They should have won this. I mean, it's that simple. They shouldn't have blown it the way they did, but they did. So is what it is. All right, let's bring on somebody here. Eric, you are on JE Live. Oh, I got to join. That's how that works. What's up, man? 1 second. I don't think your Discord's coming through.
I do know the other 3 in the rating group are in there before me. I don't know if you want to bring any of those guys first or not.
I'll just go in that order since it doesn't tell me. So like you were yeah. So yeah. How's it going, man?
Going all right. It's going all right. A little disappointed, as are you, but you know, I'm just happy at least we didn't leave with any really big injuries, which could have been a lot worse.
You mentioned that, and I think there is a potentially big injury with Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown, yeah, that's right. I kind of stopped watching at that point. You're right. Bobby Brown did get hurt.
Yeah, that's a tough one because he got carted off, and you hope he's okay. But that was such meaningless football at the end. So yeah, not good, not good at all. I'll ask you 3 questions, and we'll do the 3-question gauntlet per usual. Mm-hmm. First question: going into this game, do you feel now leaving this game do you feel better about this team, worse, or the same?
I think kind of the same. I mean, I was always under the opinion that Puka and Cup would be perfectly fine together. I mean, it didn't make any sense for one of them to not be good anymore.
Yeah.
I do feel better about Cup coming in and just immediately having a 100-yard plus game. That's really nice. I don't feel as good about Stafford at the moment just because of how many passes he missed in the second half. But I also kind of feel like maybe that's just Stafford being streaky, like he kind of always has been. You just gotta hope to bottle up when his elite play, keep that going on more consistently. The D line is the same. I think Aaron Donald needs more help. Byron Young is all right. He's good when it comes to like chasing quarterbacks down, but he's not a number two at this point in his career. I don't think. Um, I don't know if who else is out available. I remember you mentioned guys like Chase Young. I like someone like I would like Daniil Hunter. I think that'd be really nice. Any
They
of those
did lose
guys
again.
who who lost what?
They did
Oh,
lose
the
again, the Vikings. So
that is right.
that
Yeah.
becomes more
So
likely by the day, it seems like.
yeah. I think Daniil Hunter would be huge on this team. Just getting another impact edge, and I keep thinking about it. It's funny because I feel like the two positions that we could improve on really nicely is edge and probably having a top end cornerback opposite of Akello. And I'm just thinking like, man, we had Jalen Ramsey and we had Leonard Floyd. It sucks, but you know, hopefully we find some people to step in and take those guys' spots.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, man. I think that's the most painful thing is that I feel like Floyd would be so perfect on this team right now.
Yeah, just like even if he's not out there every down, him rotating with Hoyt would have been really really nice, like an 80-20 split. Because I don't think Hoyt really is a 3 down starter. I like him
No,
in
no.
spots, but not for the whole game.
Yeah. So I want to get a second question here in the gauntlet, the defense. I have to be honest with you. I don't think they played as bad as everyone is saying. I know it was by design, of course, but a team that was on the field for 38 minutes, only giving up almost 39 minutes, only giving up 23 points to the NFC champions. I'll take it.
Yeah, the fact that there's such a lack of names, I would say, on our defense outside of what Rams fans know, and it's just I think overall talent, like you said earlier on the Eagles, is so much higher, and this I think Raheem is kind of getting the most out of these guys on the defense that he can, and they're playing well. Obviously, we still need more pieces in order to really notch it up a level. I it felt good. I'm really happy with how they performed despite missed tackles, hardly any pressure. Um, outside of like three of them,
Yeah.
and Akello played out of his mind again. Crazy interception. I was really happy with that. But I think we just need like two top end talent type of pieces to really get these guys like over the hump.
I agree with you. Now, last question here before I move on. So, edge defender. So it sounds like you would want a trade. Who would you go after? Would you stick by Daniil Hunter?
I think Daniil Hunter would probably be my number one just because he's still young. He's an elite talent. I think he wants to play for a winner. That's why he held out, I think. That whole Vikings team might blow up soon. Kirk is not re-signed. Justin Jefferson is not re-signed. So they might try and trade Hunter, hopefully for not as crazy as we were willing to give up for Brian Burns last year, which I'm happy that didn't happen because I feel like we'd be in a really bad spot if we made that trade last year. Um, but yeah, Daniil Hunter would be really nice. Chase Young, as I mentioned earlier, I think would be a really good addition. Um, the other edge on Washington, I forgot his name. He'd be good too. Um, I mean, some people are still saying Brian Burns. I don't know if the Panthers are
Yeah,
willing to give him up for anything less than like
I just don't
3
see it.
firsts. Yeah. And then I know there have been some more uh like a tier under the elite guys that you have been talking about. Like there's a guy on I think the Raiders. I think you're talking about that sounded pretty good.
Oh, I mean that would be cool if you're talking about I almost said Mason Crosby. Max Crosby interviewed him.
Max,
That
that
would be
would be
cool.
really cool. Yeah. Because I don't know. I don't know if I don't think the Raiders are looking super good either. Um, but yeah, any edge piece that we can get, if our plan is to, if it's for the future, because I think what some fans and some people are kind of assuming is that the Rams are trying to go all in, like again, potentially making a trade for an edge for this season. But I view it more so as like gaining a piece for the future, like this season. That way, we don't have to worry about free agency or drafting someone.
I
Um,
absolutely agree with you, and that's the whole point of it, and that's what I've heard just throughout the organization, that they would very much consider that. I honestly think that's been their plan all along, and just because that way you don't know how the season's going to turn out, and that way it's like if you guys are really bad, you're not going to go and make you're not going to make a trade, right? But if you're good enough and you feel like you're missing that one piece, now I can go and I could trade for a Rashawn Gary. I could trade for a Daniel Hunter. I could trade for a Chase Young. And there might be other players who come up because teams are going to be unexpectedly bad. I mean, look at the Broncos. I mean, I expected them to be this bad, but there's like most teams I don't think did. And so now there's talk about everybody being available, and they just lost to the Jets today. And it's like,
yeah.
so I think that's kind of one of those things, like you kind of just wait and see how it plays out. It's the end of this month. So, I mean, we'll see. But any final thoughts before I let you go?
Yeah, I think I really liked how the offensive line played in the first half. In the second half, as soon as we get an injury, like any type of injury on our offensive line, it just kind of falls apart. Like Coleman Shelton got hurt, he came back in, and the first snap he comes in, he gets annihilated, and Stafford almost throws a pick because of it. It was like it hit the floor or something. I think we still need like one or two probably in the draft more so than trading for one. Getting another really good offensive line talent, just like Steve Avila. I'm not entirely sure which spot on the line, maybe center or left tackle, because just having an elite tackle is, I mean, I miss Big Wit so much, seeing him on the field, because that was never an issue. And just seeing it now, like that elite tackle is really important. So I would say hopefully we go offensive line again in the draft, if assuming we get an edge this season.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And just to kind of piggyback off that, we can't forget about the Havenstein play where he gets helmet to helmet hit by a defensive guy, and the ref takes him out to go into concussion protocol. And so basically they're put into a bad situation where on the third down, where they know that they're passing, they pin their ears back, rush the quarterback. You got Warren McClendon, who hasn't played it the entire game, and he's thrown into the fire there in that moment. And that was tough. That was tough. But anyway.
One more thing quickly. I'm really upset with the whole intentional grounding thing. I am pretty sure
I am too.
Greg Olsen, I think, was the one who's like, yeah, they're not really looking at intent. They're just looking at the at where the ball lands. And then in my head, I'm like, then why are they calling it intentional grounding if they're not looking at intent? Why is there not a separation between intentional grounding and just like a regular grounding call? I was even though we were going to punt it anyways. Like, I hate that it's called intentional grounding and it's not about the intent. It seems.
No, I agree. It was absolutely BS, and I don't know. I don't think it's not the spirit of the rule. There's a reason why the rule's in place, and that's not what it's for. But Eric, appreciate you, and we'll reconvene in the next one, man.
Yep. Go Rams, beat the Cardinals 3-3. Have a good day, Jake.
You too. Take care, Eric. All right, guys. I got a few super chats in that time, so I'm going to read those. I'm going to bring on the next person here. A-Dog, thank you for the 5 there. McVay played scared. Why don't he start going for it on 4th and 5? Sometimes give our team a chance. Do you think he can get Brian Burns since they're 0-5? I don't know about Brian Burns. I personally don't think the Carolina Panthers are going to trade him. First thing. Second thing is I agree. I think they should have gone for it on 4th and 5. I understand most times you're not going to go for it on 4th and 5 there. I don't think they had a choice. With the way the game was going, the flow of the game, how they kind of took over on the the defensive side, the Rams on defense, I think they should have gone for it to keep the defense off the field a little bit longer. And if they don't get it, they don't get it. But punting it, I didn't like that. BYL44, thank you so much for the 5. We're a young team. We will have growing pains, but I still have a positive outlook on the season. We definitely need edge rusher. Smell a trade soon. I agree with all of that. I've been saying this is a team that's going to go through their growing pains. I do think it was more so the not Darian Kendrick, but more so like the veteran there, Matthew Stafford, that kind of threw the game away a little bit. You could argue he didn't turn the ball over, but it's like this is what happens. Would you rather have him turn the ball over and still throw touchdowns and still move the ball, or would you rather have no interceptions and then have him miss 3 touchdowns? You know what I'm saying? So you can't have it all. Quintana 310, thank you so much for the 2. Appreciate you. All right, let's bring on Falco here. How's it going, man? You're muted, by the way. All right, there you go.
There we go. Hello.
Oh, man. Well, you already know all my thoughts. What were your thoughts on the game, man?
Very frustrating loss. Like, the offense just, especially second half offense, did not produce whatsoever. That's so frustrating because our defense just kept us in it throughout the whole game. Like,
yeah,
Akello making that pick and everything, just really damn frustrating. Really damn frustrating.
It was really frustrating because it was such a tease. The offense looked like they were the best offense in the league on a couple of those drives in the first half, and in the second half they were just gone. I do think game flow came down to that. So I'm going to bring you through the 3-question gauntlet, and then I'll move on here because I want to get everybody in before I go to bed. This will be a very short night for me. Definitely burning the candle at both ends here. But let's start off. First one. How are you feeling after this game? Are you worried? Are you in the middle, kind of like where you were before this game, or are you feeling better about this team?
I am a tad bit more concerned because of how our second half has been throughout the last couple games. I'm a bit more concerned now, but
yeah.
Again, we are playing significantly easier teams coming up, so I hope that gets resolved.
No, of course. Totally agree with that. And then the second question here, I'm going to ask you, in regards to the defense, I know that there were some people that didn't like how the defense played. Personally, they only gave up 6 points in the second half. What were your thoughts on the defense? Do you feel like they played well, or
they played relatively well? I can say, except for Kendrick. I would say the first penalty he got inside the first half was, in my opinion, unexcusable for him. But that second penalty he got was a bit BS. That whole DPI he got, which led Village to score just before half, that was a bit BS. But I thought that in general the defense played well. All we need is this constant pressure on every single QB we play. That's the big thing. We need pressure. We need that pressure.
Yeah.
Badly.
I think that's really hurting them. And then the third and final question for you. Edge defender, do you feel like that's worth going out and trading for one? And if so, who would you go after?
Who I would go after is maybe just like you said, Josh Uche is an option. Chase Young is an option. I do not see Brian Burns being an option, solely because he'll be way too expensive to trade for. Max Crosby, someone said it earlier, could be another option. It's just all up in the air right now on who we can reasonably trade for.
I agree with that.
Honestly, anyone would be nice at this point.
here's the thing. There are still teams that are kind of like wrestling with the ideas like, well, I don't know. I don't want to end the season. And it's like, I mean, I'll bring up the standings real quick here. The worst teams in the league right now, the 0-5 Carolina Panthers. Okay. But we're saying we don't think that Brian Burns he gets traded because he's a long-term asset, The Broncos are 1-4. The Cardinals are 1-4. The Patriots are 1-4. Josh Uche, right? The Giants are 1-4. The Vikings are 1-4. Talk about Danielle Hunter there. I mean, the Raiders are one loss away from being 1-4. I mean, that's Max Crosby territory, And then after that, there are teams now in the thick of it. Like a lot of teams have 2 wins. A lot of teams have 3 wins. I mean, to me right now, if you're in that 0-1 where you either have 0 wins or 1 win, you're kind of just sitting there, where you're like, not really sure where we're going here. But, you might have to wait a little bit. And here's the thing, October 31st is, of course, the
trade deadline.
Yeah, the trade deadline. So if we're looking at a schedule here, that's going to be week 8 because Monday, excuse me on that one. That would be Tuesday. So Tuesday, October 31st. So the last game of that week is Vegas versus Detroit on Monday Night Football. So that will be disgusting. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is the Rams-Cowboys game, Sunday, October 29th. If the Rams win this game and say they rip off 3 wins in a row, Cardinals, Steelers, Cowboys, you have to imagine that's going to be a busy Monday, on the phone.
Right.
So, I mean, we've seen it before. Like, I remember I was at the Rams-Packers game at the Coliseum, and then the Rams go out and they trade for Dante Fowler Jr. Like the next day. And, I mean, that was a win. So, I don't know. It doesn't always have to be a loss. Like, okay, see, we need somebody now. Sometimes, like, your wins are enough. And, I think they definitely could. Do you have any final thoughts, Falco?
I just think is that the offensive play calling as well in the second half needs to be better. Like, we needed to have Kyron run it just a bit more despite our offensive line being banged up. I just thought that, especially early on to the second half, I thought that we could have easily ran it a lot more than we should have.
It's tough. I mean, I think they could have run a little bit more, but it was like only having the ball for 22 minutes of a 60-minute game it's insane. So I can't really blame them too much, I think like Stafford missed those throws, and that's kind of what really decided the game.
Yeah.
So I hate blaming it on Stafford because he was amazing in the first half, but I mean, I can't just sit here and lie.
No, like he missed quite a bit of those, especially on the 2-2 play. He missed that, and that could have been a touchdown. So,
yeah. All right. Well, Falco, appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one. And also appreciate your support of me on Kick as well.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. You have a good one, my guy.
You too.
Okay. Guys, real quick before I bring on somebody, just letting you guys know I'm also streaming on Kick. I stream all J lives are on Kick, but I also do film breakdown. So if you've been seeing those clips come up on YouTube, I've been testing the copyright with those clips. Hopefully I don't get claimed there. I can't do a full game, but taking out bits and pieces, that's great. But if you want to see the full game, I do that on Kick every single week. And you guys can go and actually follow me on Kick. It is right there if you're on YouTube right now and have not done so. Once I get to 700 followers, I'm 17 away. I will do a flash giveaway of a free Rams hat, okay? So right now, 683. We get to that 700 mark, and I will give away a Rams hat. So if you're interested, the link is pinned in the chat up top. It's also right in the comments section. You click on that. It takes about 30 seconds to sign up, and there you go. Just give me a follow over on kick.com/jkbogan. And once we get to 700 followers, if it's during this stream, I will pick a random person to give away a Rams hat. Dr. Dingus is back. I don't know where the hell you've been. I hope you're well. I have not seen you in quite some time, so it's nice to see you, my friend. Okay. Let's bring somebody on here. Gav, how you doing?
What's up? I'm good.
All right. So, yeah, this game was, stressful, painful, all of that. How are you feeling about this team? Are you feeling good, bad, or in between following this game?
Honestly, I don't know. The pass rush wasn't good. That's my one concern about this game. The offense I'm not really concerned about. It's the pass rush.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, I love Mike Hoyt. He showed really good flashes last year, but this year has just been a struggle. I mean, Byron Young and Aaron Donald are getting every pressure. Kobe Turner once in a while, but then Hoyt is just like trying to get past the left tackle. It's painful to watch.
No, I feel that it's not been great. It's not been easy. What are your thoughts on the defense as a whole? They held the Eagles to 6 points in the second half. I thought they did a nice job. There are some people that think otherwise and say they lost the game for the Rams. But where are you on that?
Honestly, I agree. I think Stafford, I hate saying this, but Stafford missed some really key throws. I think the defense held up their will against this offense with Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, who got held to one receiving 6 yards. I mean, this team really, really looked. This defense looked a lot better in the first half than the second half, and we could just do so much. I think the offense could do so much better. I think this defense really held their will. I think Darren Kendrick, I do think that's a concern for me for sure. Penalties were not good, especially on that last. They had 30 seconds. That should be something that shouldn't happen. I don't know how that happened. It was penalty after penalty. I didn't agree with that PI, but still, it's too much, and that's my one concern with the defense is the corner is Darren Kendrick.
Yeah, pass rush, and I thought Darion Kendrick really struggled in this one. Had his moments at times, had a really nice stop on third down. But yeah, you know that. And the thing you have to worry about is when you're getting called for those pass interference calls and you're constantly getting called. Now, in his second year in the league, he's getting known for this. He's making a name for himself, not a way you want to be known for, right? And so when you develop that reputation as the guy that is holding or the guy that plays like that, now you're going to see a lot of officials that are keying in on number one. And I think that's the problem moving forward.
Yeah, and another thing is we're going on and we're going to be in the NFC West. Like when you're in the NFC West, you're going to have guys like Kyle Shanahan who will exploit that. He will. And it's not. It's like with guys like Brandon Ayuk and or Deebo Samuel, whoever it is. Even if somehow he gets lined up against Christian McCaffrey or something, he will exploit that. He'll do something. And Shanahan's he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. He'll show his targeting of Darren Kendrick when we get to that point.
Now, you and I both agree on the lack of pass rush. I believe they should go out and get an edge defender. Do you believe that? And if so, who would you want to go and trade for?
I do think we need to get an edge rusher. My top three, my number one is Josh Uche.
Like it.
I think he was unreal last year. This year, I haven't really watched that many Patriots games. I know they've been really bad, and so I just think that the Patriots right now are not in a good position at all. I think he'll be on the block. I think Chase Young, his name has been floated around for the past 6 months or whatever for whether it was injury concerns or whatever. But I just think that Josh Uche would make such a difference, even in Raheem Morris's defense. I think he'd really, really do well in that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, his ability as an off-ball linebacker at Michigan, spending that time there, I think he saw some really good things in, his ability to cover, go out and cover. And I think with the way Raheem Morris uses his defense now, not really something I expect him to do, but there's a lot of, outside linebackers dropping into coverage. Obviously, that's the name of the game. Like, you do need outside linebackers to drop into coverage, but on the level he's having it done, I just don't think we've seen really anything like it. So, I definitely agree with that. Any final thoughts, by the way, before I let you go, Gav?
One more thing, I would say that I don't think that we should drop. And that's the thing about getting Josh Uche is that we could drop him back into coverage, and with Hoyt, it's just not working. I mean, it's really cool seeing him go down that field. He's 300 pounds. He's hanging with some of these dudes. It's good, but it's not working, and it's just Josh Uche can do that, and I don't think he'll cost as much. Like, people are saying Brian Burns. I just don't believe that that's possible at this point. I mean, we offered 2 first-round picks last year, which, in my opinion, was an overpay still. I don't know how they declined that. But I mean, I just think that Uche would just fit this defense so well, and even going out getting another corner, I think would help. Just considering the concerns that we've had with, I think Kobe Durant will settle in. I think that and Keller's been great. Darren Kendrick continues for me to be a concern. Watching him, it's just I don't know if I trust him guarding a wide receiver one on every team. Even when these coaches are watching tape and seeing how he's doing with penalties and giving up these big chunk plays.
No, well said. I agree with you. And, Michael Hoyt, like you said, it's cool. It's cool to see a 310-pound, 6'4" defensive lineman running 50 yards down the field. It's impressive, but it's still not. It's not conducive to winning football. He's not. He's not doing a great job in coverage, and it's not really his fault. He's not supposed to be out there. But Gav, appreciate you, and we'll have to reconvene in the next one, man. Hopefully after a Rams W against Arizona.
Yeah, I think we can get this next one. Yeah,
I would hope so.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Jake.
Absolutely. Take care. All right, before I bring somebody on, I just saw Matthew. Thank you so much for the 20, my friend. What's up, Jake? We always seem to hang around with some really good opponents. Games we are fully capable of winning. The football guys just don't always smile on you, I guess. Congrats on you and Alexis on 500 with DTR. Thank you so much, my friend. Yeah, it's hard, It's a tough game, and it's hard to win week in and week out, and the Rams have not really been destroyed by any team so far. They haven't had their will broken so far, and you got to bounce back, get back to 500, and then get a chance against Pittsburgh, still at home, to get over 500 and stay that way moving forward. Because I think they can beat Pittsburgh, I think they can beat Arizona, and I think they can beat the Dallas Cowboys the next 3 upcoming games for sure. All right. Let's move on here. Phoenix Nash, how are you doing?
Hey, Jake, how's it going, man?
It's going. How's it going with you?
Yeah, same. It's going. This was a tough pill to swallow, even though I knew Philly was tough. But
yeah,
man, we were. I honestly, I might be delusional, but I think we could have had this game. There was just so many just mistakes all across the board, and as you expressed and people have expressed on here, it's Stafford had missed a couple throws. That's one. Kendrick, the 15-yard penalty, the horse collar. I think that was kind of uncalled for. The PI was questionable though. But it was just little things that, and plus the defense was on the field way too long. They were just so gassed. And, I'm thankful that they held up, Philly to that much. But man, this would have been a good dub to put, to defeat the NFC champs. Dang, man.
Yeah. No, that's the bummer of it. I think, and I mean, I hate to be like this, and I think this is where we get a little carried away, but like, are you really excited for Arizona next week? Like, no, you're not. Because one, division games, if they're not like the 49ers, they don't feel like they mean as much. Like they
Right.
do, but it's not like there's not like the intrigue, right? You already know who they are. You know what their team is. I mean, I guess a little bit different this year. Arizona seems like a completely different team from last year. But there's just something about like, okay, we're playing a 1-4 Arizona team. Now there's like, we have to win this game. That's kind of the vibe I think the fans have, and they should. But it's not like you can't really enjoy it. Like if they win, it's like we were supposed to win this game. You know what I mean? Like, but same time, I guess you kind of have to have that, just kind of put that aside, because every win matters in this league. And that's how the Eagles are looking at it. I mean, even though they haven't really dominated anybody to this point, they'll take the 5-0, just like the Rams would take the 5-0 right now, even if they didn't win both with style points. But my second thing for you here, actually, I don't know if I asked you my first question, so let's start with that. My first question here is, how do you feel about this team getting out of this game? Do you feel do you feel better about them, worse, or kind of the same as last week?
No, I still feel strongly good about this team. Like we're still like a young team. We're practically a brand new team,
Yeah.
coming off the Super Bowl team. So, you're gonna go through these bumps. You have to accept the losses more than the wins. That's how I kind of see it. Like we have talent on this team, Who would have known like Puka would go off like this? Byron Young is balling. I know they're still green, but we have some talent on this team. Now, like, there's a couple of spots that, that needs attention, like if we want to be critical, but like I think we need to address that either, via the trade or the upcoming draft. So it's, let's get some more pieces, and I think this can be a really good team going forward into the future.
Yeah.
So I feel good about this team. I really do feel good about this team, even though like we have like 3 losses of like 3 games that we could have potentially won, but I still feel strongly good about this team.
No, I agree with that. I think that's definitely fair.
Yeah.
I think, again, it's like I don't want to be like, oh, moral victories. At the same time, you can't just act like playing against a top team in your conference isn't a big deal, and I think it's important to find kind of the balance in that. What else is it's important to find the balance in is that a defense that gave up almost 500 yards of offense only gave up 23 points, and only 6 of them came in the second half. I think there are a lot of fans right now that hate on this defense, and they think that they're trash, so to speak. I thought the defense played pretty well, considering that the Eagles, they just make it so hard. They limit your possessions. They keep your offense on the sideline. That's how they beat you. They basically make sure that, number 9 is on the sideline and number 1 is on the field the entire game. So
Right.
What were your thoughts on the defense? Do you feel like they played well? Do you feel like they played bad? Where are you on them?
The defense, for as long as they've been on the field, they held out pretty well in my eyes. Just like, going into your third question, I can just answer it for you right now. Yes, we do need an edge, defender, edge rusher,
Yeah.
because, like I said, like you've said it completely, and I agree with you. Like Hoyt, I love the guy, but like you said, the experiment has to be done. Like, we gotta move forward with this, because it's affecting, our playoff, like, chances. Like we can't keep experimenting doing these kind of things. Like I think Aaron Donald needs help. Like I think we need to get to, like, create pressure, get to the quarterback. It's like we had like Hurts just standing there making, like, throwing down the field to Brown like nothing. Like it seemed like we didn't even attempt to like go after him like in the second half. But it was kind of weird because we kept them to 6 points. So it was like I'm kind of like trying to figure out like what do we need to do? We need to create more pressure on these quarterbacks. We need to get to them. We need to like get some sacks going, like because if you do that, that builds the momentum, hopefully for the offense to like do something, because one feeds off of the other. So we need to address like the issues, like the edge position, and I think we do need like a left tackle, like someone
Yeah.
said, like Big Wit, man, I hate seeing him on Thursday night just doing commentating. It's like, dude, come back or something, like like just come back and play one more. But I get it, he's retired, so respect. But I think it's just, I think going forward, we need to like address like these issues, and not just like, oh well, let's just give it another try. No, it's like it's just like we're gonna have more losses than wins, and you're gonna have like an upset fan base. Like let's just try to like solve this.
No, I agree, man. I definitely agree. I hope they go and they trade for a edge defender sooner than later. I don't know what that looks like, of course. I mean, I feel like they should have done it by now, but that's just me.
No, and you know what? Like you and Alexis, like you guys been saying this like like forever, and it's like they haven't, and it's like, what the hell? Like what the hell are we doing? And like the list that everybody's been saying, the Josh Uche, I do like Max Double X Crosby.
I do as well.
That would be that guy's just nasty, man. But Josh Uche, it seems like the most realistic choice. Yeah, the whole Brian's burn thing, like I wouldn't want to give like an arm and a leg just to get him. But yeah, I'm gonna agree with everybody, like Josh Uche, or Max Crosby. Like, let's just get someone in there that can get to the quarterback. Let's just get someone in there.
No,
So.
absolutely. I totally agree. Just get somebody in there. I think you got to be mindful of who you get, because, expiring deal, I think, is what they're looking for. They're looking for a guy they can sign long term.
Right.
But, I think if you do that, like the guys that always come to mind to me, I mean, it's always Josh Uche. It's always Brian Burns. I just don't think is an option. I'm just going to be honest with you. I just don't think they're going to let him go. But, Rashawn Gary, depending on how well the Packers, and that's the problem. See, because the trade deadline is the 31st. So we'll have an idea, we'll have some clarity, but there'll still be some teams that maybe should trade away Rashawn Gary, that at that point, that's 3 weeks from now. Let's just say they're, 4 and 4, 4 and 3, 3 and 4. Like, that's not, it's too soon to know who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I think I've really been targeting just the teams with 0 wins, obviously, which is only one, Panthers, and they're not going to trade Uche, Burns, and the teams that have the 1 win, because those teams that they continue to lose, that's when you have to make a decision. And I mean, 1 and 4, you can come back from. 1 and 5, it starts to get a little scary. 1 and 6, you're done. Like,
yeah.
I mean, the margin for error at that point, you pretty much have to win out. You can pretty much only lose 1 game the rest of the year, and 10 and 7 isn't even a guarantee to make the playoffs in some cases. So, yeah,
right.
So.
Yeah, I think what you're thinking with like Josh Uche, I think that deal sounds a little bit better, since Patriots have been yeah. At least we didn't go out like them. I'll just say that.
Yeah, the 34-0 today at home.
Yeah,
like
and this isn't Belichick's year, man. I don't know. I don't know. But at least at least we didn't go out like that. I'm glad we kind of kept it a single digit loss, but still a loss. But just bring someone in. Like let's clean up this, like these areas, and start becoming alive more in the second half, because it just seems like we're all gassed out in the second half, which is so weird. Like, you know,
Yeah, that's the tough thing, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
but Phoenix, appreciate you.
yeah,
As always. I'm gonna get through
yes.
these last three, and then I'm calling it a night. I'm heading right to bed.
Well, Jake, thanks for having me on, and thanks for everything that you do. And let's look forward to the next one, and let's get these dubs and stop messing around.
Yes, no, absolutely. I appreciate it.
All right then, man. Take care, man.
You too.
All right.
All right. Let's see here. All right, I'll do Jeremiah now, Monty after Jeremiah, and then Rusty, and I'm calling it a night. All right, Jeremiah, what's up? How you doing?
Testing my mic. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound way better than you normally do.
I think I'm just speaking more clearly.
So, first question of the 3-question gauntlet for you, my friend. Let's start with this. Coming out of this game, are you feeling better about this team? Are you feeling worse about this team? Or are you feeling pretty much the same as you did last week about this team?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I'd say it's just that edge position is really it's concerning me because Michael Hoyt is just so slow. I think I'm faster than that guy.
I don't know. I mean, he's fast, but I just don't think he doesn't have a toolbox of moves. Like, he's got a few different things he can do, but going up against, if he lines up on the left, he's going up against a guy like Jordan Mailata who can neutralize pretty much any sort of counter he has. And then on the right side, it's Lane Johnson. So it's like pick your poison. So yeah, I think he struggled there. And we definitely agree on the edge defender. I'm kind of with you. I mean, it is the Eagles. I don't want to do the moral victory thing, and it's not a moral victory, but it's more so like I'm not panicking because the Eagles. I'm more so a little concerned about their second half disappearing act week in and week out.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up at that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, my friend. I'm not really sure. But the second question for you, the defense. I think there are a lot of Rams fans that are getting on Raheem Morris, and I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, they gave up 23 points to one of the best teams in football. They only gave up 6 points in the second half. I mean, yeah, they almost gave up 500 yards total offense, but it only resulted in 23 points. Like, the offense couldn't score 24. That's why they lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's... I think
the defense was not the problem.
No.
Even though they were in the field for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't think it's on him. I mean, they do have to tackle better, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it was the bend don't break. They were able to they bent a little bit, but they really held them to field goals. They got a turnover on downs in the red zone, albeit it was way at the end of the game, but still, I mean, I don't know. I thought the defense played tough. To get them 2 back-to-back stops with the brotherly shove, I think kind of speaks volumes to just how this team wants to play until they can no longer play.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with my football teams and just not being able to tackle. Because I'm a USC fan, and that was awful. And then today, it just felt like they lost the ability to wrap up their guy and end the play. So I feel like so many times Swift was behind the line and they just didn't get him.
Yeah, it's these games are frustrating because you have like Jalen Hurts, who's I think everyone is so focused on height, and you can tell that they call him small. Have you seen Jalen Hurts? He ain't small. The guy is a running back, he's built like a running back, and he can throw the ball all over the field. And it's like he's not small. He's very hard to bring down. Just not very easy there. But third question here for you. Do you feel like the Rams need an edge defender like I do? And if you do, who would you go and trade for?
Oh, they absolutely need an edge rusher because outside of Aaron Donald and BY, no one's doing anything, honestly. I would go for, I think he'll be a little cheaper than like a Chase Young. I think we'd go for Montez Sweat. because I think he could be available. He would help out a lot. You said Uche or Uche. I don't know how to say his last name. For the Patriots, he would be
Yeah.
nice. Brian Burns is like a pie in the sky scenario right now. I don't think we're gonna get him.
No, I don't see it either.
And then I didn't know Max Crosby was rumored to be on the block, but I don't think that happens either.
That would be a dumb trade because I don't think the Raiders are that bad. I think Josh McDaniels is, but if they brought in like a really good coach, I think they'd be fine. Yeah, I mean, my only thing with Montez Sweat is I think they kind of decided they were going to keep Montez over Chase Young. It's why they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. But I mean, I wouldn't be against that, you know. Do you have any final thoughts before I move on to another guest here?
I think we could be looking at the best wide receiver duo in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I think the receivers looked really good in the first half, and I think Stafford missed just throws he never misses. So
yeah, I cannot believe he overthrew Tutu like that. He's like automatic with that. I think we win the game if he hits him there.
Well, if he hits him there, what's the score at that point? 20-14. So they take a 21-20 lead.
Yeah, and the defense only allowed 6 points.
I'll be honest. I still think they lose, but I think they lose on a game-winning touchdown from the Eagles. Right? I don't think they're not sitting there. You know.
Yeah, like a 2-minute drill, because I think it's shown that this defense just collapses when they need to get a stop on a 2-minute drill.
Yeah, definitely collapsed towards the end of the first half. That wasn't fun.
I think that killed all the momentum like it did in
it
week
did.
2.
It did.
Yeah.
It was the Niner game all over again. It's just that I thought the Eagles deserved to win more than the Niners did, personally.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the Eagles they don't have that devil magic that the Niners do.
Devil magic. All right. Well, hey, appreciate you. Appreciate all the support. You're always in on my my kick streams, and it doesn't go unnoticed, my friend. I appreciate you.
Yep. Always, I'm gonna go watch this Sunday night game. I hope both teams lose.
Sounds like a plan. I'll definitely be rooting for the Cowboys since I would prefer the 49ers lead. It's 7-0 right now? Okay, so... Oh, they're driving, though, is what it is. All right, Jeremiah. Wait, what were you saying?
Who has the ball right now?
The Niners, Dallas 31.
Oh, man. I'll see you, Jake. You know I'm usually in the gaming streams.
Yeah, of course. I will see you then.
See ya.
Later. All right. Monty, my friend, how you doing?
Jake, what's going down, my brother? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How's it going?
Man, first of all, let me congratulate you on 500 episodes. You know, what a ride. Continue to grind and continue to shine, my brother.
Hey, I appreciate that, Monty.
Yeah, this one hurt, Jake. I wasn't saying, I was giving them a pass on it. But what you said at the end, I feel like the Eagles deserve to win more than, like you said, like, okay, with the Niners and Cincinnati, I really feel like we blew those games. I really feel like those was odd games, right? I feel like those 2 games that we should really have right now. Like, I seriously believe, especially the Cincinnati game. But the Niners game as well, I feel like those should be our games. But this game, even though, like, at half, where we let them come down, score a damn touchdown, that kind of killed momentum, right? Right after the Puka touchdown, right? Because I knew it was a minute where I knew that Jalen Hurts, like, he was going to be hard to contain for us, balling him up, because I knew maybe even Aaron Donald may be the only one probably can chase him down and grab him. But even with that, we know how good he is with his legs. Like you say, he's a big dude. He's a real big dude.
Yeah.
But even though we was in this game, I just felt, I don't know, something in my soul. Like, I don't want to just say, like, oh, man, we could have won. I just felt like we was going, and I don't know why I felt that. I'm like, we're not winning this game. It was just something. I don't know if it was the time of possession of the ball. Oh, like you say with Matthew Stafford, I don't know how I built myself up to be okay with the. I'm like, we're not winning this game. I just felt it in my soul. Like I don't know what it was today, but something was just off. I don't know if it was just me or the game or something. I just knew it was gonna be something that was gonna turn. And then, like you say, second half come, defense did great. I'm gonna commend defense to hold them down there. Witherspoon getting the interception down there because we should have been down way more than what we was down. You know what I mean? Or we could have been up a little bit more because that 4 points was big. We could have held it to a field goal. That could have been something different. Even though we were still in it with Matthew Stafford throwing a pick and missing 2-2 and things of that nature. It just didn't. I don't know what it was about this game, but it just felt weird to me. I can't put a finger on it, things of that nature. But I went and like you said, when we was looking at the standards, I feel like we're gonna be playing for a wild card anyway, right? And we 2-3 right now, and teams are just one game up on us, and that's that fucking Cincinnati game that I feel like might come back and bite us in the ass. But teams that's for us the wild card hunt is one game up on us, and I feel like we can still climb that. If we can get these 2 wins with the Cardinals and the Steelers next, Dallas gonna be a hassle. We know that's gonna be a hassle. That's gonna be another game where we're sitting up like today and seeing if we can figure it out, right? So we're playing the Niners, we're playing the Eagles, we're playing, even though Cincinnati was banged up, even we're still playing that defense because they tough as hell. Playing those games, it prepare you for the next big one. Like you say, Arizona, it don't get us up like, oh shit, who we got to look forward to stopping that one. Even though they playing good ball with Josh Dobbs over there and things like that's not a gimme. Since Steelers not a gimme. They just beat Baltimore. Arizona was hanging in there with Cincinnati, so we're gonna have to play 4 quarters of football to beat those dudes. But I feel like those 2 games that we can get, if we can go 4-3 head into Dallas, right? And if we can go and pull out a Dallas game somehow, figure out what we didn't do in the Niners game, figure out what we didn't do in the Eagles game, and pull it out in the Dallas game, I think there can be a lot of momentum for us going forward. And like you said, if we can go out and get a good pass rusher, I'm still big on Chase Young, right? I just feel like he's a match made in heaven with Aaron Donald. Being young like that, I kind of they both kind of rush the same way to me. The thing about Chase Young, he got to stay healthy for us, right? You don't want to put too much into his stock, and then we give up too much, and next thing you know, boom, we only got him for 3 games, and now he's gone. And now in Washington, they got us for X, Y, and Z, and we only get X out of his ass. Um, I like Josh. I like Josh for the Patriots, right? It's gonna be like, do they really want to give him up? That's how that's gonna come up to be. Do they really want to give him up? And I don't like. I don't think that the Rams is just sitting back, not making calls. I think they making calls. I just think teams are hesitant right now because nobody really know where they at the first 5 games. Everybody looking. It's a lot of calls being made, a lot of teams calling in, and people trying to get the best deal for the best players. So it's gonna come down to these next 2 games and this Dallas game that's gonna test our metal and show us where we really at, right? This game, it didn't. I feel like it didn't hurt us that bad, even though I love to win it, right? It'd put us at 3-2. That would have been looking good. I would have loved to win this game, but I don't think it hurt us that bad being 1 game under 500. If we can go 4-3 going into that Dallas game, Dallas is going to test us, man. And this is what we got to focus on with Cooper Kupp and Puka Kanua, with Puka being him. I'm with you, Jake. I blame Matthew Stafford too, and I blame Sean McVay. It comes down to the play calling. It comes down to putting Matthew Stafford in a good position to throw the ball, right? Like, come on, man. You gotta target Puka and Coop. I don't give a damn. Target them dudes. Puka, it look like whenever the ball goes away, he can't miss. So it's like target them, get them make targets, and let's just see where we end up, especially when we down and we pushing forward. So it's gonna be a ride, man, this year. Like you said, we don't have no big names out there in certain positions, right? Like the biggest stars we got, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, Puka, showing flashes. We gotta see if he can keep that up. And everybody else is, trying to make their names and things of that nature. So we in for a ride this year, but we hanging in there, bro. I think we better now than what people thought we was gonna be without Cooper Kupp being there for the first 5 than I kind of thought. So let's just keep our heads high. I know you're feeling down, Jake. You say you're under the weather. I hope you get better, my brother.
Thank you, man.
Keep your head high, man. Keep your head high. We ain't out of this one yet. We ain't out of this one yet. The main thing is to make that wild card And if we can sneak into the playoffs, man, that's all we got to do is sneak into this playoffs, and we go hurt some people. You know what I mean? I'm not saying we can go win a Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world, but we go hurt some people. Promise you, we go hurt some people. We just got to stick it out. Offensive linemen got to stay healthy, right? Play together. And Matthew Stafford got to figure out a way to stop doing them damn picks. I don't care if people say, oh, it's tip. No, put it on the person where they can catch it because you get paid the big bucks and you can do it. So I know he was a little banged up. We can say that, but I just feel like we're going to be all right, my brother. We're going to be all right, man. But I know you want to get off, so I appreciate you for everything you do. Once again, congratulations on the 500. Rounds fans in the chat, keep your head high. We're coming back with a happy win next week. And we'll be back here singing happy praise with my brother Jake. You have a good one, Jake.
Hey, appreciate you, Monty. I agree with you. Definitely don't feel like it's over. Not even close. I think it's it's a bummer and you don't want to lose, but I think they got a golden opportunity coming up. And, if you ever feel like you're looking at this team and you're like, oh, I don't know how we're going to make the playoffs, go and look at the NFC standings right now. You got the Eagles 5-0. You got the 49ers 4-0. They'll probably be 5-0. Detroit Lions 4-1. Tampa 3-1, right? Those are the 4 teams that would host playoff games. Then you have Seattle at the 5th seed, Dallas the 6th seed, Atlanta the 7th seed. So you have Seattle and Dallas are at 3-1. Dallas lose, and I don't know if Atlanta passes them, but the point is, on the outside looking in, the Saints are 3-2, the Packers are 2-2, the Rams are 2-3, Washington's 2-3. Then you have a boatload of 1-4 teams: the Bears, the Vikings, the Giants, the Cardinals, and an 0-5 Panthers team. There's not a lot of teams left over where, at least in my opinion, where you really have to worry about for the Rams. I mean, the Panthers are probably done at this point, 0-5. The Cardinals, if the Rams beat the Cardinals, they're probably out, right? 1-5. Yep. The Giants don't look very good. The Vikings are interesting because they're in just about every game. Once again, they lost another 1-possession game to the Chiefs. But you can keep losing 1-possession games all you want. That's not a win, right? So, they're now 1-4. The Bears are 1-4. They might be surging a little bit. They should be 2-3. The Commanders look terrible at home. They gave up 40 points to the Bears. So right now, I think the Rams are better than the Packers. I think the Rams are better than the Saints. I think they're better than the Falcons. I think they'd beat the Cowboys right now. I think they're better than Seattle. I think they're better than the Bucks. The Lions, I think, are better. I think the 49ers are better, and I think the Eagles are better. So, and you're not going to have to play all 3 of those teams that I said are better than the Rams if you make the playoffs. Probably play 1 or 2. So, there's definitely a golden opportunity here, and the playoffs are not out of the question. It's just not, a great conference. I've been saying that. But right now, just in general, I'm not really impressed with the league. I mean, Kansas City is the number 1 team in the AFC. I think they're really underwhelming. I don't think they're the Kansas City Chiefs that we're used to. The Steelers, who look absolutely terrible, are the 3rd seed in the AFC right now. I mean, it just goes to show you, But, look at the Rams' schedule right now. By the way, the Bengals are now 2-3. They've won 2 of their last 3. Let's see what happens with them. They, blew up a little bit against the Cardinals. But the Rams started off their season playing a team that's 3-1 in the Seattle Seahawks. Then week 2, they played the 4-0, soon to be 5-0 San Francisco 49ers. Then week 3, they played the 2-3 Bengals, who are worse than we expected them to be, but still, Joe Burrow played. It's not like Jake Browning was in there. Week 4, they played the now 3-2 Colts. And week 5, they just played the 5-0 Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
So, now upcoming, you got the 1-4 Cardinals. You got the 3-2 Steelers. I don't even know how they're 3-2. They're the only team, by the way, that is above 500, except for the Falcons, that has a negative point differential. Yeah, they're the only team. Then you got the Cowboys. Who
I'm
are
sorry. I just want to say to Jake, look at those teams and look how hard we played the top notch teams. Look how hard we played them. So like you
yeah.
say, the other like if you had to say whose ceiling is higher, you have to put the Rams. Like and we haven't played a full 4 quarters of football. We haven't on defense and offense, right? And it's like you say, if we get that one pass rusher and Darion Kendrick, it's like his attitude has to get better, man. I understand, right? You want to be one of the top corners. To think you're not going to be a top corner. I'm gonna take that back. Sorry for that. I know you carry yourself as trying to be one of the top corners, but your attitude is what it can kill us, bro. His attitude is just bad. Even though Sean McVay, I'm not gonna say nothing about it. I know people like Darian Kendrick, and I like him. I like him a lot. But his attitude, bro, once he get on the field, if he get burnt, you know, he talking trash, this, that, and third, he go back to that mind state to where you got to get out of that mind state, bro, and flip to the next play because you killing the team with certain things, you know. So it's like he got to get that together. He has to get that together. So we need a true number one at corner. I like Durant. I like Kendrick. Like they to me they not true number ones. We need a true number one and we need a pass rusher, and I think we'll be A-okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I think the good thing is, you know, the Rams in the first 5 games, they've played 2 teams that can win the Super Bowl. And they've played 2 teams that are probably going to make the playoffs. And they played 1 team that could win the Super Bowl but is a little banged up and is just having a rough time. The rest of the year, they got the Niners. That's about it. Everyone else is kind of around that same... Like, don't get me wrong, the Cowboys are still good. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like everyone around that is still in that same kind of boat where it's like they're kind of those middle of the pack pushing for the 7th, 6th, 5th seed wild card teams. You know, the Ravens, you know, they're obviously good. The Browns, the Saints. I mean, none of these games, though, should scare you the way the 49er game should scare you. Like, to me, the 49er game is the biggest game of the entire year. And that could decide, depending on how this season goes, that could be playoffs or no playoffs. I mean, we don't know how it's going to go. So, to me, the best thing you can do right now, you're 2-3. You beat Arizona, you're 3-3. Then you got the Steelers. I think they're better than the Steelers, 4-3. I think they beat the Cowboys. I've said this for a while. That would, you know, all of a sudden you turn 2-3 into 5-3. I think they beat the Packers because Aaron Rodgers isn't there. I like, don't get me wrong, I like Jordan Love. He's not Aaron Rodgers. And they almost won a few of those games, 6-3. I think they beat the Seahawks again, 7-3. I think they beat the Cardinals, 8-3. I think they lose to the Browns, kind of like one of those, wow, why did we lose this game? You always have one of those. 8-4. I think they lose to the Ravens, 8-5 in Baltimore. I think they beat the Commanders, 9-5. I think they beat the Saints, 10-5. I think they beat... Well, actually, I think they lose to the Saints. So I'll say 9-6. They beat the Giants, 10-6. And then they lose to the 49ers, 10-7. That's how I see it. I think they're a 10-7 ball club. I think they can be better. But I think realistically speaking... it's not going to be hard for them to go 10-7.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like that, Jake. And I'm gonna get on off Jake. Let's get to the next. But let's think about this: the Saints and the Browns. We can beat them. Like you say, you think, and I feel you on those. But those 2 games with Deshaun Watson, he got to be better. The Saints, you know, they went out there, they did that thing today. But will they be who they were by the time we meet them? Will we be who we are by the time we meet them? I think we get better. I think they decline. And this just me, y'all, to make my Rams fans feel better. So I think we get better, and they decline, and I think we beat them also. So that's, what's that, 12-5? So we're going to have a 12-5 season, ladies and gentlemen. We're going into the playoffs. We're going to the NFC Championship, and anything can happen. But my brother Jake, you stay positive, and I'll see you on the next one, champ.
sounds good. Take it easy, Monty.
Okay.
All right. Rusty, how you doing? Rusty. Okay, there you go.
What's good, Jake? Can you hear me?
Well, I mean, you already know, but I mean, I've already kind of moved on from the loss. I think that's what happens when you do 2 live streams and you spend over 2 hours on it. But Yeah, I'll just do the 3-question gauntlet. First one. Are you feeling better, the same, or worse after this game?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Jake. I feel better because the fact that we were able to at least make this at least somewhat competitive, and the Eagles have a much more better defense than us, and our defense held it down for as much as they could. Then the offense did good, but of course we cannot stay healthy for the love of God. Shelton went down, kind of messed with us. Rob Havenstein, hopefully he's okay, but Warren McClendon really whiffed on that one block. And thank God Alaric is still healthy. But yeah, other than that, we played our ass off. But McVay again, man. Is that a point where it's comical at this time? Because we were doing so good in the first half. Everything's creative. Puka, Tutu, Cooper Cup, Kyron were all getting involved. And then, of course, second half rolls over. McVay just seems to forget, oh, yeah, we can run the ball. And it's little things like that piss me off. And it was, I found it so infuriating when it was the remaining minutes of the game. And on 3rd and something, he decided to run the ball compared to the 4th and 2. He didn't want to run it, and he punted it away. And it's little stuff like that. If you want to play against these teams, we got to be more aggressive. And, of course, he wasn't aggressive. Maybe he has a reason for that, but I did not like his second half performance, and the defense did hold it down. And props to Akella Witherspoon, man. What an amazing reception. And Double V, Van Valkenburg,
Yeah,
he killed it too. Byron Young really pissed me off because he had Jalen Hurts by the throat, and no one seemed to want to get at him. O'Shawn Mathis had a clear shot, and of course, he froze. Jacoby Durant, I'm a little disappointed on him because
I don't think Mathis froze. He got held. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah,
That sucked.
yeah. I was so infuriated when I saw Hoyt against Dallas Goddard and he got toast. I'm surprised I didn't go for a TD. It's little things like that Raheem has to fix because we gotta stop making Hoyt a hybrid. He's not a hybrid. You're literally you're setting him up for failure. He's primarily a rotational defensive end. Why are you forcing him to be a linebacker when he's struggling so much? And of course he gets shit on because Raheem schemes him up, and then Darion Kendrick has to stop with these stupid penalties, and he's talking smack like he's like the best point in the league. And like, no, bro, you gotta take care of responsibility. That horse collar, that was very unexpected by him, uncharacteristic by him, but I don't know what the hell he was thinking. And then that PI, like, seriously, bro, you already dug yourself in a deeper hole. Why are you gonna dig yourself into a deeper hole? And Raheem, he's a really good DC, but there's some things in that Raheem has to stop. Why do you have Darion Kendrick on AJ Brown, and then in the remaining half of the game, you put Akello on him, and you could see the big difference between Akello and Darion. And it's little things like that. Then the defense did not want to tackle for the love of God. I felt like I was watching a JV game, whiff after whiff after whiff, and it's frustrating because I know it ain't on Raheem, but they're making Raheem look bad, and all the fan base gets mad at him because his defense doesn't want to show out for him, and it was bad for AD because he was getting triple team, and no one seemed to want to get pressure. It's the little things like that, Jake, that really cost us the game. Little mistakes, uncharacteristic mistakes, and we got to get better at that. I felt good in this game, but after watching that, I was like, you got to stop. Because the way we're playing these guys, they don't look as a threat. I wasn't scared of the Eagles going this game. I thought we were going to beat them. Just like the 49ers. And there's little things like that, Jake, that the Rams really got to fix. And we can win the remaining games. We can be in them because no other team really scares me. The Cowboys don't scare me for jack shit because right now they're getting owned by the Niners, and we know the Niners. And we went one-on-one with them, and we could have won. But I ain't scared of anyone coming up this week. And yeah, those are my thoughts, Jake.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I think there's golden opportunities all around the board for the Rams. It's early on in the season. They're ahead of schedule. We know that. I think Raheem's doing what he can to get everything out of the defense at this point. Last thing I'm going to ask you, I think we probably agree on this, but edge defender. Do you feel like the Rams need to trade for an edge defender? And if so, who do you want to see?
Well, let's see. So far, I got to see who the Rams want to keep because Byron Young's killing it. Van Valkenburg, I love him as an edge threat. Hoy, I just keep him as rotational, but most likely, realistically, we're going to go after Josh Uche because I don't think the Patriots are going to want a steep price for him. I would love Brian Burns, but the Carolina Panthers are usually stingy bastards. They're going to want to give us jack squat for him. Chase Young, I would want him too, but I don't know about Washington if they see him as a long term because they seem to do really good without him, man. I would want those. Those would be my two saviors right there on the defensive line, or Young or Brian Burns. But most likely we're gonna get Josh Uche and some other practice squad guy, most likely. But I feel like we should make a play in for Uche. It doesn't hurt us. We're not gonna waste that much capital, and we all know Bill Belichick finds these guys and these gems in the later rounds. So I feel like Uche is most realistically. It would be awesome if we can get Brian Burns and Chase Young, but I don't know, Jake. But most likely, I would want to see Uche in the horns, if anything, because you put Michael Hoyt in a good position. Now he's just primarily an edge rusher, and Uche can play all over the place. So
yeah,
I would like Uche. Yeah.
I mean, I think Josh Uche tomorrow makes the Rams a definite playoff team.
Yeah.
I think he would fit the defense like a glove. I think the Patriots being 1-4, just send him over to the Rams. 2nd and a 4th, I think gets it done.
Exactly.
They get their 2nd round pick back because they drafted him 50th overall. I think in 2020 it was, and the Rams give him an extra 4th. So they get their 2nd round pick back and a 4th, which you're not going to get if he goes and signs with another team compensatory wise. You might not even get a 3rd. You don't know. So,
yeah.
I mean, right now the Patriots don't look like they have any chance of anything. They lost 34-0 today to the Saints at home.
The McCorkle Jones experiment is dead.
It's just not. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there with the Pats. It's not good. I mean, you get shut out at home.
Yeah.
Mac Jones got benched. Derek Carr.
That is bad.
Derek Carr looked good, and I mean Derek Carr.
Yeah.
You know, he barely could even move his arm last week. So, yeah, I mean, good stuff. You know, but yeah, for the Patriots, not so good. And I think Uche would be a great fit for sure.
For sure, Jake. Hopefully the Rams get him, but they usually like doing everything last minute, so I'm not going to expect them to be in the horns fight this week. Most likely before the deadline, we'll see some edge help, but right now we're just going to have to grind it out. Raheem has to grind it out right now because it's going to be frustrating watching the defense, but I don't know when Les feels like he wants to cook again and like trade and be this guru again, but we gotta wait, Jake, and it's gonna be painful watching them until that trade deadline comes. But I don't know. The Rams are unpredictable, so hopefully we have Uche, but I don't know, Jake. We gotta grind it out.
No, I hear you there, but Rusty, appreciate you as always, and hopefully we're talking next week after a Rams statement win against the Cardinals.
Hopefully, Jake, go Rams.
Go Rams. Take care. All right. Mandalorian. You are on GE Live, my friend. I know you unmuted. You there? Okay. Chat, how we doing? Oh, God, I am tired. What's up, Nico? How you doing? Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to game, but I know I don't have it in me for tonight. Maybe later, but probably not. So all right, I'm going to put this channel on lock because I genuinely, let's see. Thank you for subscribing. Appreciate you. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to bring on someone. Hopefully you can figure that whole mic thing out. But it says you're talking, but I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. How do I limit? Because I'm about to get like bombarded essentially. I still can't hear you. Damn it. This sucks. I don't know what happens to Van Jefferson. That's a good question. I'm not sure. All right, I'm going to bring in someone while you try to figure that out, and we'll see if we can reconvene. Austin Wilson, how you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing? First time caller here.
Hey, you're Austin Wilson, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked before. We definitely talked before.
A long time ago.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. How you been? I see you're doing great, actually. I'm actually happy to see that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing well. You know, just grinding to the point where I'm practically falling asleep on air.
I hear that, man. I hear that. I'm a mechanic now. I work about 50 hours a week, but I still got time to, vent about my damn team.
Yeah, well, how about this? Since I'm getting off soon, I want to get everybody on. Why don't you just do that? I won't even ask you questions. I'll just let you vent for the next 5 minutes.
All right, brother. Well, here's my thing, man. I think I'll start off by saying very impressed with this team. I don't think we had a lot of expectations. I mean, my expectations were as long as Stafford, Kupp, and Donald are healthy, I don't see us being a bad team. Unfortunately, somehow we finished third place, but I would say we probably had the hardest opening 5 weeks of anybody. But we held our own. We've had some good games. I think the fan base needs to get out of the mindset of like we used to be in, where you can trade a pick, a first round pick or something, to go get a guy you're missing to win. I don't think we have enough people to do that. But we hit on this draft. That's the biggest thing to me. I think that people need to understand that we drafted a 5th round receiver who looks like a stud puppy. We got Byron Young, who's every game it looks like he's 2 or 3 seconds away from having 3 sacks a game. You got Steve Avila, who's balling out. So I think we just need to stay the course, be competitive like we are. I don't know if we'll make the playoffs. I hope we do. If this team makes the playoffs, I say we're in for a good little run here soon. But I mean, that's pretty much what I'm seeing. I mean, yeah, this game was frustrating. I mean, I was working, and then I saw the 30 seconds left. I thought we scored the touchdown too early. I know that's a little bit of luxurious thing to say, especially when you're not really considered a contender. But I was like, man, all this time out, 30 seconds, Jalen Hurts. So that sucked. I don't want to bag on the defense too bad, but I think, and I know they did okay in the second half, all things considered. And but it seems like so far it's like we are young and it shows because it seems like they tend to give up big plays when it matters the most. So I'm hoping we can fix that. I'm hoping that, as we go on, maybe it won't be that bad. I think our schedule's kind of lighten up a little bit. But yeah, man, I mean, it's frustrating, but it's also a good thing to see that I'm sure most of the NFL fan bases thought, and the talking heads thought we would probably get blown out most of these games. So, I mean, we're hanging in, but it is frustrating, when you're in that kind of that room of you have a little hope, but you seem like you're good enough, but you're not closing them out, but you're not good enough to win the big games. So it's definitely frustrating, but like I said, I'll take it over what I'm sure most of us thought was going to happen.
Yeah, I had them winning the game, but I knew that
I felt like it was one of those games, but yeah, I agree with that. I kind of thought we might have caught them, but man, that's just a good fucking team. Sorry for the language. But.
No, you're fine. Yeah, no, I mean, it is. It really is. They're a better team. They have more talent. We knew that coming in, and I thought really the offense was going to be able to kind of carry them in this game and throw to set up the run. And unfortunately, when you're on the sideline virtually the entire second half, you can't be missing throws the way Stafford was missing them. So, I hate to pile on Stafford, but I just can't believe he missed those throws. Atwell was open.
That one at Atwell was bad, dude.
The two cup ones. Ugh.
Oh, man. Yeah, and that's the thing, man. It's like you want to, but that's good that they're getting. I would say this. I've watched Steven Jackson run his ass off for 2-win teams for 10 years. So I'm glad that I'm frustrated with the fact that they're right there. So I'm glad that they're right there. I mean, we could be getting, like I said, our teeth kicked in every week, but at least we're good enough to where it frustrates the hell out of all of us. But at the end of the day, I mean, even the Super Bowl we won, and if you just look at the teams, it's like everybody, edge rusher's been a huge. I hear everybody saying edge rusher. Yeah, we need one, but people got to remember, you got Byron Young for peanuts, and I just think where we're at now, because we drafted so well, I'm not saying we will draft an edge rusher in the first round. I just don't want to see us, unload the table on a edge rusher right now, or any position, when I don't think we're right just there yet as contenders. Because I think if we were to bring in an edge rusher, like even if you were to swing for the fences and you trade a first round pick for Brian Burns or whatever, does he make us right there with those teams? Maybe, but I still think way too many things have to go right. And as I will continue to say, as I think most people are saying, right now, for some reason, we have the worst. I've never even seen anything like it. It seems like every game we get more penalties picked up than any team I've ever. And I watch every game, I feel like. And then the tip pass, it's just all this stuff. I just don't think we have enough guys to overcome the little things that can really, like the Eagles did. Like they just okay, they throw a pick, we don't get any points off of it. We punted it. Like Sean McVay to me still calls plays like we are a Super Bowl contender. Now, I'm not saying, I mean, hey, anything can happen. I mean, we have a lot more games left to play.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is he calls plays still to me like we're like a 4-1, 5-0 team or something, and we're not. And I think that our best thing we got is the offense, and that's clear as day. Defense has been way better than anybody could expect. They do allow points at the very worst times, which sometimes I think can negate the in-depth stats that everybody brings up. But like kicking it, which I've seen a lot of people talk about, kicking the punting it, when the team has already controlled the ball. The Eagles were, having 12, 15 play drives for 9 minutes every time they got the ball, and punting it away, I was like, I mean, I don't know, stuff like that. And I feel like he's still calling plays like that. And again, I saw you post the other day, when we don't run the ball, things kind of get away from us. And it's just like, after that, Nakua, the biggest thing that I don't think anybody really talked about was when Nakua got the face mask or horse collar call. We went to 3 passes straight on the 50-yard line. I'm like, why aren't we running the ball? You know what I mean? It's just stuff like that. And I feel like even McVay and the fan base at some point still has this like thing where we feel like we're still competitors, which we are competing in these games, but I don't think we're actually Super Bowl contenders still, which is fine. We weren't supposed to be. Hell, everybody thought we might win one game at this point. So, and we've been in every game we've played in. But
Yeah.
I just think the biggest thing is to keep it realistic. And we had a great draft, have another great draft. We have a ton of money next year, to go buy some pretty good players. And we've been shown that, hell, we can buy. I mean, think about Odell Beckham and Leonard Floyd and all these guys we pick up. They end up having really good rebirths with us. And I think that's what we should focus on. We got to get ready for when Kupp and Stafford and Donald aren't there, and if you trade all your premium picks away, for a run that you probably won't go on based off of your entire roster, that's the thing. I think we're in a good spot, and we just need to take the W's when we can get them and not freak out about not being as good as some of these teams we played. And like I said, we've been playing it's definitely not the best schedule I've seen. I don't know how we got this lined up, finishing third like we did last year in our division, but it didn't fall too good for us. But like I said, they've shown me, the 49ers game, I thought we were going to get smoked. In this game, I thought we were going to get smoked. And they're showing you enough to frustrate the hell out of you, and piss you off a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think when you take a step back and look at the fact that we found a number 1 receiver in the 5th round, a starting left guard who looks like a stud, and then you got a Byron Young who didn't play that many college games, and you would assume would only get better with time. We got some things to build off of, and I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, definitely a frustrating loss. But we got the Cardinals coming up. Hopefully beat them. They're playing with fire. They're a feisty team. And then Steelers' offense is the worst I've ever seen, but they have an elite defense. So, but we can go on a run here. We could. I've been saying that since, I looked at the schedule as soon as the season opened, and I was like, man, if we can just be above water after that Cowboys game, there's a chance. And I'm hoping that because these young guys have had to go against these juggernauts really early in the year, that once they start playing a little bit easier, opponents, that they'll kind of settle in and be like, man, this ain't that bad. You got to think about the receiving trios we've played too, like in the first 5 weeks.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy, the type of, talent that they've gone up against. But Austin, appreciate you calling in, man.
Yes, sir. Good to see you and talk to you and see that you're doing well, man. I love to see it.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. We'll have to reconvene next week if you're down. And, we got the Cardinals, so hopefully that's a post game that's a little bit on a brighter tone, on a lighter note,
Yeah, we'll smash them. And that's the McVay game where I think we get right. So I'm thinking we put up a good bit of points on them. I hope we should.
Sounds good to me. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one, man.
See you, brother. Go
Take
Rams.
care. Go Rams. Later. Okay. Are we good now? So you're unmuted. I don't see you talking. I don't know what's going on, man. This sucks. Definitely want to get your thoughts on this game. Oh, this is such a pain, man. Alex, I see you. All right. Let's see. While he tries to figure it out. That one bean, how you doing?
Hello. I'm so sorry I was on mute.
No, you're fine. Thanks for waiting. Sorry it took so long.
Nah, bro, you chilling. Alright, so how'd you like the game?
I preferred the first half. Like if we could have just stopped the count right after the first half, that would have been great.
Mm-hmm. Nah, because like Stafford, all he be doing is like it's a pattern. It's cup, and then he chooses someone else. Because like you said, like he be missing those that he was making last year and the year before and all that. But now he's looking like he was when he was injured, you know what I mean? It's annoying.
The second half was so frustrating because I'm already losing my voice, so that was frustrating too. But no, the second half is frustrating because essentially, you know, they come out in that first half and they teased us with potentially the best offense in the league. I mean, everything was working for them and they were up. And then that final drive, football is a game of momentum and it's all about momentum. And I feel like the Rams are built to need to have to lead games going into halftime. If they are trailing, it hurts them. And I don't know if they ever recovered from that. And that's a shame because the offense, they ended their last drive in the first half with a touchdown on the highest of notes, thinking that, all right, we just took the lead. The defense giving up that touchdown at the end, that was just absolutely brutal. It really was.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you one question real quick. I'll make this short. But don't you think that the Rams, like, look at all the free agents available. We got Leo Collins. We got, who else we got? We got Eric Fisher. We got Carlos Dunlap, Melvin Ingram. And then we got, who else? We got Ben Jones. You know, all of these, you know, like offensive linemen. And then Anthony Ball's out there. Don't you think, like, the Rams could, like, go out and, like, get some people like that? Like, why aren't they doing that? You have, like, an idea?
Well, I guess my short answer here would be with offensive alignment, it takes about as long as it took for Dotson to get acclimated. So it's not as simple as just picking up an offensive lineman. Like it would actually take a while to get them onboarded. So we're talking about 4 weeks. So I think that's probably why. They also really like who they have. And to be fair, like they were hoping Nopum was going to still be available this week. So if that is an injury where they end up having to put him on IR, I could see him making a move like that. Maybe a Lyle Collins. Wouldn't rule out a trade for Garrett Bowles either, depending on what the price is, because I know the Broncos right now are in sell mode, especially after losing today. But like Dunlap, I don't have any explanation for. I would bring Dunlap in 2 seconds. Ingram is older, doesn't really fit the scheme. I don't know if he's much of a fit, but Dunlap I'd bring in. I would trade for Uche. I would trade for Rashawn Gary. I'd trade for any of those guys really. I think pass rusher is a need. I think left tackle is more of a long-term need. I think it's something I would address going into the NFL draft in 2024.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you for bringing me on. I'll be back next week.
Hey, absolutely. Appreciate you.
Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
You too.
All right. You there, my guy?
Yeah, can you hear me, man?
I can hear you now. Let's go.
I honestly don't understand. I didn't change any settings from the previous times or anything. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, that's so weird, man. But I'm glad.
No, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm glad you figured it out or it got fixed or whatever, because
I was just old school self hack. You turn it on, you turn it off. Like so, there's nothing else I really did, man.
No, I hear you.
Back in, so I was like, okay, this setting off on. So I don't know what was going on beforehand, but yeah, Jake, today's game was a stressful one, man. Just as usual, Rams football seems to be, right. I was at the game today. My voice is kind of shot a little bit. If it sounds a little raspy and a little bit lower than usual, but it was an entertaining one, man, no doubt. I just think, long story short, if I can sum this Rams team up through 5 weeks of professional football in the 2023 season, is just the Rams don't suck, but they're not good either, if that makes sense. Do you agree with that statement, or is that a little too far-fetched?
I'm going to say it's a little too far, and here's why. I think they have all the pieces there to be a playoff team. Yeah. I think going up against maybe an Arizona Cardinals this week, and this game's an absolute blowout. There are only a select few of teams in the league that play the game like the Philadelphia Eagles do, trying to dominate the clock like that. That's is correct, yeah. A far cry from playing. Even the 49ers don't do this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like, part of me, I don't want to do the same thing we did week 2, how I was almost celebrating the fact that they looked like legit, but I think they were so far ahead of schedule than where I intended them to be that I was really blown away.
Yeah.
But this game, now that we already know they're ahead of schedule, this game stings. But at the same time, it's like the Eagles did their job. You know, the Eagles outplayed them. The 49er game, I felt like the Rams outplayed the Niners until they had that injury to Nopum that really kind of threw off everything. But I truly felt like the Eagles just outplayed the Rams in the second half. I think the first half, the Rams were the better team. I think the biggest issue I have is that the Rams beat themselves on the offense. I don't feel like the Eagles defense did anything super special until the end with the, sending 5-6 guys, whatever. I also think we kind of got robbed a little bit. And it's funny, I say robbed.
There were some bad calls, Jake. There were some bad calls. Let's be honest. The one PI that Darion Kendrick got at the end of the first half was dumb, to put it in simple terms. It was dumb. You know, when two players on offense and defense, pass catcher and somebody who's guarding them, are hand fighting, no matter what position they play, that should not be an interference call unless it's obviously egregious. And I felt like on both ends, both AJ Brown and DK Metcalf, I don't think a flag was warranted for either side. And then obviously, they get the 1st and goal, and then it's a brotherly shove, tush push, automatic tooth-yard gain that they punch in for the end zone. Other than that, I think defense held on pretty good, honestly. That's what I felt, at least in the stadium, watching with my own 2 eyes. And offense obviously had their chances. That one where Stafford, I think, threw the deep post, the 2-2 way too early, where if he would have held it maybe a quarter, a half second longer, that would have been an easy bomb to 2-2 where he would have scored. It would have been, a 1-point game, Rams lead in that late 4th quarter. There's obviously a ton of stuff, but I think those things matter. I think those miscues, whether it's Stafford pulling the trigger too soon or too late, or offensive linemen getting hurt in critical situations throughout this whole first quarter and some change of the season, whether it's schematic issues, whether it's play calling issues on either side of the ball. I think all that sums up to the Rams are not a bad team, but they're not a good team. They're an average team right now, and they could be a good team if those things come together. But through 5 weeks out of 17, 18, the Rams are an average team. They can play you tight. They can play you close. They can give you fits. But through 5 weeks of sample size of this specific group, they'll have errors, whether that's coaching, players, schematic issues, whatever it is. And there's still plenty of time to figure those things out. Because obviously the season is a long marathon. We all know that. You know that. I know that. Our
Oh
listeners
yeah.
know that. So, through these first 5 weeks, I think what you said earlier is the overachievement is that Puka Nacua was insane. Kobe Turner has played solid. Byron Young has played solid. Steve Avila has played awesome. I think those guys, Ethan Evans, our punter, if I'm messing his name up, apologies. But our punter, our young punter, and the other young bucks, the other young guys, year 1, 2, 3, and so forth. I think those guys playing good football in these spurts, it's like, hey, we could be good. But with young teams, it's hard for that to be the case. Sustained good play. And that's why I said what I said. We're not a bad team. We're not a good team. We're an average team right now. And there's time to be a good team. But one other thing I want to say real quick. This has been on
Mhm.
my mind the last 2 home games because this was the second home game. And I've been to both. I was there at San Fran, the first home game. I was here in Inglewood today. And what I'm going to say is a long, nuanced answer, debate, question, rebuttal, whatever you want to throw at it.
Mhm.
I think just today, because I've been going to Rams games since they've been back in 2016 for, these past 5+ years. I'm just really, really sick and tired of opposing fan bases overpowering ours. I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it, Jake. Really tired of it. And this conversation is complex. It's very nuanced. It's very uh, it's complicated. And obviously pricing, how long the Rams have not been here, transplant citizens coming to California, Los Angeles area, play a part in that. It's complicated. I know. What I'm saying is very, very complicated. But today, I'm just annoyed. I'm just annoyed by the fact that we are being overpowered by other fan bases. Not all the time, but these big games against well-known franchises, we're overpowered. I'm just tired of it. I'm just tired of it, which makes the loss more annoying. So that's what I'll
Yeah.
say about that. It's a complicated subject, and most games are not like this. But I will say I've been to games against the Packers when we beat them with Jared Goff when Aaron Rodgers was still there. I've been to many games against the Eagles in the past, the 2 times they've been here in LA. Raiders, Cowboys. I mean, pretty much every big fan base that you and I can think of, and people listening can think of, we've been overpowered 5-1 easily. And again, it's complicated. Pricing, uh, transplant fan bases, citizens in LA. It's a complicated subject, but I think last year's significant losing season, more losing this season, it's going to make things tougher. So the Rams need to start winning games ASAP to change this whole thing. Because one Super Bowl is not enough, Jake. I've been in LA my entire life. Dodgers have won multiple and have had multiple 100-win seasons. Lakers have a gazillion championships we can name off. LAFC has been winning. Kings have won multiple. Obviously, the Gretzky eras were fun, and obviously in the last 10 years, they've won a couple. Rams need to win way more for this thing to change, and it's a generational thing. But anyway, that's my thing that's been stuck in my brain driving home from the stadium. I was just like, if we would have won, this wouldn't be on my mind. But because we lose, there's no doubt that the home field advantage is not a home field advantage, Jake. It's real. I don't care what anybody says. When there's more of the opposing fan base screaming at our offense, it matters. Even if it's just a little bit, it matters. So anyway, that's something that was on my brain, and obviously I know Rams fans probably don't want to hear that, and it's probably sad or irritating or crappy to hear. But Rams fans, if you're out there, save up, go to games. If you live out here in LA, start going to games. If you're a Ram fan, we need to see you out there, no matter who we're playing, no matter if it's an NFC defending champion like today, no matter if it's a playoff opponent in previous years, no matter if it's a crappy team. We need to see you out there. It's been many years. Show up. Let's go. It's time. I don't care if it's playoff time. And again, I was there for the playoff run in 2021. We sold out. It was great. But I need you out there for days like today, not just playoff times. So anyway, that's my I'll shut up about that. But something that irritates me a little bit, Jake. Apologies.
No, I get it. I mean, it's a little annoying too. I mean, the way I look at it is this, like, you know, I'm watching on my TV in upstate New York. So I can't go to the games obviously, but it is kind of annoying. I also look at it like, you know, when you have 49er fans trying to use that as an excuse, that's when, like, it's like, I'm going to be honest with you, like, if anyone's trying to use that as like trash talk against me, first off, I think trash talk is lame if you don't play for either of the teams. That's just always been me. I don't know. It's always been me, you know? But I don't know, man. It's just like I get all the time, like 49er fans will be like, oh, you guys don't even fill your stadium. What do you mean you guys? I'm in New York. You know, like when can I go to the stadium? I mean, I have to like save up for that. I have to do a huge trip, you know, just being there for a weekend, and it's going to cost me hundreds.
No, I know, no doubt. To everybody out there, you and everybody else that's out of California, I get it. I'm talking to everybody that's out here in the greater California area. Time to show up, man. Let's go.
I do wish their tickets were cheaper.
It's only for the fan bases that are nationally established. Like, people don't think the Eagles are a nationally established fan base. They take over stadiums like no other. I have some of my best friends with Eagles fans. I mean, people don't understand this. People think, oh, the Eagles took over stadium. People don't understand. They have a great national, worldwide football fan base. It's really incredible, honestly. I didn't know this until the last 5-6 years. I was like, oh my God. So again, what I'm saying is for the big powerhouse historic franchises, Eagles, Packers, Steelers, Cowboys, 49ers, Raiders, obviously those groups of teams have a deep history where that's why people like those teams, because of the history. I get it. So my point is, I'll end it on this. I know I'm sounding negative so far. When we play these teams, Steelers are coming up, everybody, in a couple weeks.
That's a team.
I need you guys to be out there, because it's going to be the same thing. Another Pennsylvania team is going to outnumber us and this Rams team 5-1 again if you don't show up. So everybody who's still here in this chat, in this live stream, in this video, if you're listening to it a later time, I need you to get tickets. Pull up for your favorite squad. Pull up. Support your squad in person. Cheer. Shout out Rams House. Do all that with your own two eyes and your own voice, so our team can hear that. We need it. It's just, it needs to happen. And that's just one thing that irritated me earlier today. And I'll stop on that note. I've rambled enough about that issue. And again, it's only against the big national squads. That's the issue. But overall, Jake, I think run the damn football squad was non-existent. We ran the ball, I think, less than 15 times. If I had to put a number on it with my own two eyes, you could probably pull up the stats on how many times we ran the football today. And what a shocker. We didn't win the game because we didn't run the ball enough. What a shock, right?
Yeah, I think it's tough though, because I'm run the damn ball, like one of the leaders of that bandwagon. But I mean, it's not as simple as that. I think when you get into a game like this, you're talking about a team that had the ball for 39 minutes of the game. I just, the way they do things, the Eagles, and how long they take. I mean, you see every single play goes down to like 2 seconds left on the play clock. Have you noticed that?
Yes, and today I definitely noticed that as well, Jake. And look at Philly has a top 3 offensive line. No matter where in that top 3 anybody listening would rank them, they're top 3. Whether they're 1, 2, or 3, I don't think there's any debate, right, Jake? I mean, they're a top 3 unit, and playing against a unit like that, it's a tough task. You know,
Yeah.
you're playing against multiple Pro Bowl level players. You're playing against two future Hall of Famers. I think for sure Kelsey at center is a Hall of Famer, no question. You know, there's obviously going to be debate about the other group of players on the O line about are they Hall of Fame level or not, but they're fantastic. There's no question about that. And it's a tough task. I know it's tough to ask Aaron Donald to play out of his mind. It's tough to ask young bucks like Jonah and Kobe and Byron and Michael to step the hell, and Bobby Brown. It's tough to ask them to outperform Pro Bowl level guys. It's tough, man. And regardless of all that, I just think when you're playing against a group that's ball control, which I think a lot of teams are going to try to do, because now that we have a re-emerging Cup, we have Puka who's established himself, we have a young Tutu who's a burner, we have Van as our fourth. This is very reminiscent of the 2018 offense. It has that potential, Jake, I think, man. We have Cup in his regular role, we have Puka in the Woods role, we have Tutu in the Brandon Cooks role, and then we have Van in the Josh Reynolds rotational role. And then Higbee's obviously a staple who's lasted as well. I think the offense has potential to hit those heights. And I think because of that possibility, teams are going to really try to ball control and keep us, our strength, offense, from having it as many times as possible. So I think with that, I think we have to run the ball more so we can hold on to the ball more ourselves. And I think, yes, Philadelphia was running the ball and letting the play clock run down heavily. 1-2 seconds left on the play clock. I know. I said it was annoying me in person. Trust me. But I think regardless of all that, I think when you're all past most of the time, we're playing into their defensive strength, which is a secondary who is spotty, but in passing situations, their front 4, 5, 7, whatever you want to call it, is fantastic at getting to the quarterback and causing pressures. So we're playing into their defensive strength. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's just we need to keep a team like that and teams in the future off guard, or keep ourselves balanced to not tip our hand into an opposing defensive strength. And Jake, we're facing defenses that have great pass rushes soon. Pittsburgh's got a great pass rush. Highsmith, TJ Watt, and everybody else. Cowboys, Parsons, Lawrence, everybody else. No matter what you want to say about the Saints have a great front seven.
Yeah.
We're going to play Niners again. Seattle won't probably be as abysmal as we've seen them in week 1. Cleveland's got a great front seven. I'm forgetting other squads off the top of my head, but we're going to face a lot of teams where that pass rush is the strength of a lot of defenses that we're going to face. So we're going to have to run the damn football to be able to keep them from just hitting their ears back, like we all like to say, and attacking. And I think that's what we got caught up in today, which is why, Jake, we only have one touchdown in 5 games in the second half. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, dude. Unacceptable.
Yeah. No, it's not great. It's not great at all.
So I think what I just said right now, I apologize. I know I'm rambling in my soliloquy, but I think that plays into it, man. We get one-dimensional in the second half, and other than the overtime where we passed it and threw it equally, and what a shocker, we beat the Colts because we were balanced, right? At the end of the game.
Yeah.
It's just once we start diving too pass heavy, which has been a McVay, issue for forever, and I love Coach McVay. I'm happy he's our coach, but that's his issue. Way too pass happy. We get into trouble and we lose games. So I think going forward, if we can just please run the damn football. I should have worn my shirt, Jake, like I told you last week. I was gonna and I didn't, and now I just need to every week. I just need to, dude.
Yeah, it's oh god. I'm so over this game now. I've been talking about it for 3 hours.
I know what I'm saying is all like downers, and I know you've been streaming for a while, and you probably had to hear it from a lot of people, but I think it's just run the damn football. We can do it. We made offensive line changes. We made schematic changes. We made philosophical changes. We made personnel changes. We did everything humanly possible to this football team to be able to run the damn football. Bigger linemen, bigger, bigger humans overall, right? And obviously, that goes, different scheme, more gap oriented, which is the use of strength and power, which overall linemen like to do. So let's do it. Let's do it, and we'll win a ton more games. So that's my long soliloquy, Jake. Apologies. I know I've rambled on a ton. You've just been listening instead of responding to me. Apologies. I know my voice is shot too from all the screaming and yelling, good and bad. But I think there's positive, man. And I will say, shout out to the defense, man. It wasn't perfect. We need an edge rusher. We need more help in the pass rush. Obviously, Eagles are a top 3 O-line. It's not going to be great. There's been plenty of units where they've shut down. But, man, just run the damn football, Jake.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, upcoming, you got Arizona, who's a bottom team in rushing defense. Steelers, not a good run defense at all, giving up 143 a game.
Yeah.
And then you got the Cowboys, who are about middle of the pack, 111.8 a game. Then after that, who the hell do you have after that? I don't even know. I don't even care. Those are the first 3. Those are the next 3 games. That's all I care about. I do it on a 3-3 basis, really. That's always been how I looked at games. I can't go week in, week out. You know what I mean? I see Cardinals, Steelers, Cowboys. Then once the Cowboys game is over, I'll see Packers, Seahawks, Cardinals. You see what I'm saying? So
no, Jake, I agree with that. But honestly, I really agree with what you just said right now. I think it's just the marathon of every team's season. It's just you can't look too far ahead, but you can't just take it week by week either. Like your little spurts of consistency or non-consistency, it matters, man. And I just think we have to beat Arizona and Pittsburgh. If we can't come out of that 2-0, we have issues, man. And I think, like you said earlier, man, it's the overachieving, right, Jake? It's we've seen great flashes from a lot of the young players, and I think that's why I'm more upset than I probably would have been 2 months ago. Think about it, Jake. 2 months ago, when I got tickets for this game with friends and family, I would be like, all right, I'm going to go to the game because I'm going to support regardless. But I was like, we're probably going to get smashed,
Yeah.
And today, going into this game, I was like, man, we could really win this damn game. And we fought hard, and we did our best that we possibly could have. But I think with the expectations of how well we played in spots, I think we got to win the next 2. Do you agree with that? We have to win the next 2. That's how I feel.
Yes, I do agree with that, because I think at some point or another, you can't just – it's just a mentality thing. You can't live below 500 for too long.
No, man, it's demoralizing. And look, I've never been a professional. I've never played D1 college football either, but I played a lot of important playoff football in my young life, whether CIF style for anybody that lives in California, other young college ball. I mean, when you're on losing streaks or offense or defense is not playing well, I don't care who you are, it seeps into your brain somewhat. And obviously, you have to overcome that thought. You have to be mentally tough, like everyone likes to say, and that's true. But when you have consistent bad blemishes, it seeps into your brain. Let's just keep on. Let's just be real about it. So, Rams need to get this second half BS of not scoring touchdowns figured out, man.
Well, and
I mean, it's
while we were talking about run the ball, the Rams have a plus. They have a plus schedule moving forward when you talk about teams that struggle to defend the run. I just counted 7 bad run defenses of their next 12 games, 5 really good ones. That's the only problem. The 5 teams that they play that aren't bad are really good. Seattle, one of the best run defenses in the league. You got the Ravens, the Saints, and the 49ers and the Browns. So all of them are really good against the run, but like the Packers, by the way, See, I think there's a chance the Rams go into Lambeau. It's not quite like December football. It's not super cold. It'll be cold. I mean, but it's a 1 p.m. game, November 5th, actually. So it might not even really be cold. And I think they go in that game and they push them around because that team's giving up 155 on the ground a game.
Yeah, I mean, Jake, aren't you? I mean, if anybody else is listening to it a later time, I'm just so tired of the schedule makers putting us in Green Bay late in the season every year.
I don't mind November, but I hear you. December, January, tired of it.
Can we get a September, October game? Everything's always like deep winter time in the rest of the country, right? I mean, obviously California's heat all the time for the most part, but it's like every time we play Green Bay, it's November, December, cold for the most part. Obviously, hopefully not freezing cold, but it's just like what happened here? Why do we always get this unlucky draw? Like, it's just crazy to me. So regardless, I agree. Hopefully, we have our run game established by then, and Rashawn Gary's been a good player for them, and I'm blanking on their names right now. And Packers defense, historically, the last 10 years have been a pretty good defense, but I agree they've always been subject to giving up gashes in the run game. But I think Jake, just regardless of how good a run defense that we're going to face in the future, it's just the notion of doing it though, man. It just frustrates me, Jake, because I think my opinion comes from a deeper level of frustration, because all my young days of playing football, from Pop Warner youth to high school to college and so forth, I was always in an offense that was very run oriented. So I think I have that deep love for it and understanding, whether it's been gap scheme from wing T to double wing to traditional I to power high to full house to triple option. I've run it all, Jake. From spread, all that. And I've gotten an appreciation, excuse me, for all that. And I think when I see a professional team not tap into that or be basic, it just frustrates me, like the Rams have, man. I think that's where my deep frustration comes from, because if I could be a part of these local squads, right, throughout my young life, and we can be complicated, why can't you, Coach McVay? Why can't you, professional LA Rams football team? I think that's where I get annoyed and irritated and pissed off. I think that's my deeper frustration. So I think no matter who we play, no matter how good against the run, we have to do it because it keeps defenses honest. And I think every now and then we will break one out. Kyron will bust one free. Ronnie Rivers could bust one free. And I think it's about consistency. And I think all that together, Jake, is why I get pissed, annoyed, frustrated with our lack of run in this Rams offense for the last 6-7 years since McVay's been here, or the lack of,
I mean, that's fair.
Attempt, and the lack of what's what I want to say? I guess variation. And we've been better. We've talked about it, but it's just not good enough. And I think that's where it comes from. But we'll see, man. I think the film will tell a lot, right? Well, I know you do your film study. I look at film for my own fun and sanity, I guess, right? And I think we'll learn a lot. Hopefully they learn a lot. And for my own eye, Jake, I think Kevin Dotson, I think he didn't have a bad game today. I mean, obviously maybe I can look back at some plays later when it comes out tomorrow or Tuesday, and we can probably be like, okay, that wasn't good. But I think overall he played well. I think the pass protection was well, Jake, for the most part, other than when backups have to come in and things fall apart. What a shock, right?
Yeah.
What a shocker. Backups come in and we can't block a good front seven. How surprising. I say that sarcastically, everybody, but I think overall, man, I think our O-line has done a good job. It's just we're just too predictable on offense. Everything's just too much pass, man. And what are your thoughts on this O-line group, no matter who's been in? How do you feel about it, Jake? I'm curious how you feel.
I mean, I'll just wrap it up with this. I think the offensive line has played well. And they played really well today, I thought. until the second half. But I think it became obvious what the, like, kind of to your point, what the Rams were doing. And I think it was also like, you know, we weren't even on the field. And I just think they, like, the way Sean McVay looked at it is like, we weren't even on the field. Like, you know, these guys need to get these reps. We need to get back into the rhythm. I think when you have a quarterback like Stafford, who's such a rhythm passer, to be on the sideline that long, it's like a bullpen pitcher warming up and you go through an inning where you score 12 runs. And it's like, yeah, that's great. Like, you just scored 12 runs. You're probably going to win the game. Now that bullpen pitcher is going to be absolutely cold when he comes in the game, though. See what I'm saying?
Real. Yes, I do.
So that's kind of how I looked at it. Like, he was on the sideline. McVay, it's a tough predicament to be in. I mean, there's not going to be many games this year. I don't think there's another game this year the Rams have 22 minutes of time of possession. That's what I'll say about that. But
yeah, and let me ask you, Jake, and this has been something that I've been on some other pods and other shows recently about this Eagles quote unquote tush push, even though I hate that name.
It's awful.
You know, the brotherly shove. I know, it's a terrible name. And you know what, Jake? It's funny. Back to that original point, real quick. I'll just sum this for anybody who's ever been in a wing T or a double wing offense in their lives. That play is basically a quarterback wedge play. It's just obviously not out of those typical offenses I just named, you know. And basically, the all linemen are creating this kind of flying V wedge where everyone's kind of, you know, lowest man wins. Everyone's going hip to hip, like diving to just, you know, move a defensive lineman, and quarterback just moves as fit or what he sees fit. That's 1,000% a wing T double wing play. And I just think that people who complain about it, I understand, but I think that, but to my earlier point of, if you don't have Hall of Famers on the O-line, like, it's really hard to pull that off. So a lot of people have been like, oh, it should be banned. And I get that to the point of why, because the Eagles are just basically just bulldozing everybody for first downs and touchdowns with it. But everyone else who's tried to run it can't do it. So I
don't,
think as long as
I don't agree in banning it at all.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you agree with like the ban? Do you agree it's bullshit, or, you know, excuse my language, whatever? So you agree with not banning it, which is the lane I'm in. It sucks that I've seen it a gazillion times work on us today, but I think that they
stopped it though twice.
Yeah, you know, they have such a special group on the O-line where they can pull it off. I think that's not going to last another 2 seasons from now.
I will say what I don't think is fair, and I'm glad they nipped it in the bud, is that the Eagles were trying to get that, okay, Jalen Hurts is on top of a pile and he put his arm out and extended the ball, and they had reviewed it.
That's pretty well.
But I'm glad, but they nipped that in the bud, and they're like, nope. Okay, I'm glad they set that precedent, because that's how we know. Okay, moving forward, like his you know, if he stopped, his progress was stopped. That's it.
Yes,
that's the end of the play. And if that's the case, I can live with that, and that's why I don't think it's an overpowered. Like, I mean, it's definitely overpowered, but it's not like it's something that needs to be banned. And furthermore, I'll say this: for the people that are saying it needs to be banned, the one thing I'll give them credit, there's 2 things I actually give them credit for. First off, Richard Sherman mentioned if you try to do that on the defensive side, you can't do it. So that, to be fair, like, he's right. You can't go over the pile as a defensive player. And I do think more and more every single day, I would never want to play on the defensive side, because I think there's such an offensive bias. That's the first thing I'll say. The second thing I'll say is that I don't think you should be allowed. Pushing is, okay, fine. I don't love the pushing, but, like, again, I'm not going to ban it. But I saw there was one play in particular. I know the chat is going to blow up when I say this, because they're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Kenneth Gainwell hugged Jalen Hurts and, like, started trying to toss him over. To me,
no, that should be a penalty as well, Jake. I think.
Yeah, that's not the spirit of the QB sneak. That's not even the spirit of what they're doing. That's just getting away with, like, you know, now you're literally cheating at that point. It's not an assisted play. You're literally trying to pick the guy up and shove him, throw him over. I saw a few people say, like, I didn't mind it until I saw Gainwell literally start to lift Hurts up and try to throw him over the first down marker.
Yeah, that's whack. And from my vantage point watching the game, I didn't notice that. It just looked like a giant mosh posh of the typical mosh pit of shoving, right? I couldn't see that Kenneth was doing that. So that's obviously the broadcast is way more zoomed in. You can see that. So that's pretty whack. That's pretty whack if that's what's happening most of the time. And obviously today, like you said, that's what went down. But I mean, that's in the rule book, Jake. You can't lift the player and throw him for more yardage or over the goal line. It's in the rule book, man. I've heard past announcers this past month and even in last season where that's been something they've stated, like, hey man, the shoving and all that legal, but once you start launching players with your own might, that's illegal and that should be a penalty. So that's pretty whack that happened against us today. And am I shocked that wasn't called? No, because a lot of calls always go against the Rams, it seems like. Doesn't it feel that way?
Yeah, I mean that was some BS. I'm just gonna call it. Like, I mean that's just.
And let me ask you, Jake, how do you feel about Darion Kendrick, man? I'm 50-50 on him, man. I think some of the calls are, some of the penalties that he commits are questionable. Like I said earlier, the one that he got, on AJ Brown in the end zone right before halftime ended, I thought that was pretty whack because they were both fighting equally. I think that shouldn't be a penalty. But how do you feel about his overall game? He's been penalized a lot, man. He's given up yardage, like he's still a young player, and obviously speed is not, and he's gotten faster. I will say he's not a slow poke like he was in 2022, but there's still work to be done. I'm 50-50. Like sometimes I feel good about him. Sometimes I'm like, man, it's time to see Trey Tomlinson. But where do you lean mostly?
This was a step back. I think there's a lot of progress that's been made, and I've been a big, critic of Kendrick coming into the season. But I feel like I've been a defender because I think he's actually played really well. And I think this is a game where this is a step back, but it's a bad game for him. It doesn't mean he should be benched. I think having these games, if this continues on, it's just more long term. Like, I don't think he's going to get benched in the short term, but I think long term, he's right now he's auditioning to be the future of this team. And I'm sure right now the Rams are starting to wonder, the brain trust is like, man, do we bring Akello back after this season? Because, I mean, he was just supposed to be like a guy that kind of filled in, like a placeholder.
Jake, Akello's been so good, man. I mean, his film is fantastic. Obviously, he has he has 2 of the 3 turnovers we've had through 5 games. My goodness. And they've been really good interceptions. I mean, Jake, for anybody else, and I know you know this, you watch film, his film has been so good, Jake.
Oh, yeah.
So good, man.
Oh, absolutely.
He's been a top 10 corner, like, no debate. Technique, fundamentals, speed, zone, match zone, whatever style of covering a receiver or pass catcher you can think of. He's been fantastic.
Once they put him on AJ Brown, AJ Brown didn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's back, dude. I mean, he might shoot, man. If he continues this, we might get outpriced with him, or maybe not, since we'll have some money next year, right? But like, he's worthy bringing back as long as he continues this. I mean, Jesus, dude, I'm pleasantly happy that he's been this well, but I'm also pleasantly shocked that he's been this good, dude.
I knew he'd be good, but he's playing at the level of he's one of the best corners this season, like, period.
Oh, easily.
And
easily.
Like, the reason why I knew he'd be good and why I made the video that I did about him is that, and I was absolutely stoked about him, is this is what happens. Nothing against Steelers fans. I've had a blast interacting with them, and my cousin's a Steelers fan, Steelers content creator. So I've had a great time interacting with them, but I think they all gave up on him so quickly after honestly playing 2 like rock solid seasons where one year he only missed one tackle and another year he only missed, he only gave up one touchdown. I don't get too much in the PFF grades of it all, but the guy was in the top 20 both those years. Actually, one of them, I think he was in the top 10.
Yeah, and Jake, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you. What was going on in Pittsburgh? Was he injured? It was some hammy issue, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. So he he pulled his hammy and it got really bad, but he kept playing with it. And so what ended up happening is that it got so bad and he was getting burned to a crisp in those first 4 games that they just put him on IR and he never came back. Yeah. That was the best thing for him because then he spent the whole offseason really working on his craft, getting back to where he was. And so the Rams signed him in June, I think it was June 29th. And that's probably the free agent pickup of the offseason. I mean, you can't really find anybody for that value. In the June, we're talking about the 4th wave of free agency. You can't find guys like this. This is just unreal. And honestly, I think the Rams stole Duke Shelley. I really do. I mean, I love the way he played at the end of the game when they needed him. He had like the biggest play of the game when Witherspoon went out with the cramping. But I think Duke Shelley could probably start on the other side and they'd be totally fine.
It's crazy, dude. I mean, isn't it just a shocker how he just signed guys for vet minimums and some dudes just flourish in that realm of pay grade, man. Like,
I think I think Raheem gets the most out of everybody. First off,
it's possible. And Jake, I've been a Raheem wishy-washy fan. Obviously I was not a fan of the 10 yards off the ball coverage, and it's been better this match zone that we've been playing. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, there's obviously zone, which you have your area. And then there's man, which everyone say, hey, this is your guy. You guard him no matter where he runs. And then there's match zone, which is, hey, you have your zone, but when somebody comes in that vicinity, you have to attack and glue to them like it's man immediately. And we've been pretty good about that. And I think that's been a positive in
except
the philosophy change. Yeah. Today
the match zone today did not go well.
I agree.
To say the least. I mean, yeah, I think just having those guys wide open, but I mean, also like, I can't really blame the secondary because you only have X amount of time that you really should be covering them. And just, I mean, I said it, I got so pissed off. And I got so pissed off. I was just like, you know what? Like I'm just going to say it. This is a pedestrian pass rush. Because I was like, this is ridiculous. You can't expect these corners and safeties and linebackers to cover for 12 seconds and then get mad at them when there's a guy wide open because they're absolutely gassed and these guys are just running around. So
I know, Jake.
I just
it makes it worse. It makes it worse that we're playing a top 3 unit too. It just makes it look that much more unacceptable, right? I mean,
I'm curious to see the route chart for some of these guys, like a Dallas Goedert. Like, I bet you he did like a figure 8 on one play. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, it's probably all over the field.
Yeah, he had a good game against us, sadly. But I mean, shoot, Jake. I mean, we obviously know that the front 7 is not bad, but they're not good either. I mean, Ernest is playing good, and and obviously Donald's all world. But Byron has moments. Byron has moments that are not well. Kobe has good moments. Kobe has moments that are not well. We can go down the line. But I mean, unless other franchises start losing a lot more, which is happening. I mean, who could we possibly even trade for? I know everyone says Chase Young and Montez Sweat, and even those two, man. Like, and those are real possibilities if Washington keeps blowing games, which is real. But like, even their film isn't great either. And how much will they boost it? Will they boost us? Yes, but like, how much will they boost us, and how much would that compensation cost? It's a tricky situation, Jake, and it's who knows. Maybe Denver does fire sale, Washington, and we can go down the list of teams that are that are underperforming heavily. But I just think the compensation that we have to give up, that teams would, being greedy minded, why? I mean, is it worth it? I mean, we do need upgrades. It's obvious, but like, I don't know if it's fixable at the trade deadline unless teams are really, really terrible and they're just like, all right, we're starting over from scratch. But even then, would they be greedy and want too much? Which I think is a thing with a lot of franchises. They just overvalue their guys, which I get it. You want the most possible, but I don't know if we should overpay just to be decent. Does that make sense?
I mean, I don't look at it like that because if you're going after, say, Josh Uche, right? Patriots look awful. They just got
Patriots offensive linebacker, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they just got like absolutely destroyed at home by the Saints.
Yeah, they did. That was bad.
I mean, they don't bring back their guys. Josh Uche is a free agent after the season. I was told that the Rams, the thing to look at is that the Rams are probably going to go after a expiring contract type of pass rusher.
Interesting.
And the reason for that is because they want to grab their guy for the future. So to me, like when I hear that description, that's Chase Young, that's Josh Uche, that's Rashawn Gary, that's, one of those guys. And if I'm going to pick anybody, I think Uche makes the most sense based on his fit because he can drop in coverage from his off-ball days at Michigan. But I think he's the most consistent. And to be honest with you, as much as I love Brian Burns on a snap-to-snap basis, Uche is the most consistent pass rusher of any of the names that are constantly brought up on the trade deadline. Like, he's more consistent than Chase Young, and I love Chase Young, but Chase Young's always hurt. Had 11 pressures this past game.
With Chase Young, man, people highlight him like he's some great player, and I just don't view him that way, man. Like,
well,
his moments,
you got to watch the Bears game though. I think he finally really he came out in the Bears game. I think he's back, like he's fully healthy.
Jake, the Bears O-line's so bad, Jake. I mean, look, I get it. If you're considered a good player, like you better mop those dudes up. But it's just like resume, right?
But I mean, Sweat didn't even look good in that game. You see what I'm saying?
It's just, I know, man. It's complicated with the edge rusher position. So I haven't watched too much Uche film. I really haven't. I knew when he was coming out of Michigan, that was somebody that I would have been happy to have seen on the Rams. That was somebody who I think I was pretty firm on the Rams wanting to grab, possibly if he was around. I don't remember what round he was taken. I want to say
it was 50th overall in the second, I think 2020.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, second round. There you go. So, I mean, hey, man. I mean, everyone was sour on Dante Fowler, and he played really good football with us. People were sour on a lot of our edge rushers, and they played good football with us, and I wouldn't be mad about that, but it's just the compensation, man. Like, it's just, do we overpay for that edge rusher unless it's somebody fantastic like a Vaughn? I mean, obviously that was a once in every 20-year trade where we get him for a second.
But what's an overpay to you though?
Well, I just think like Uche, like if someone's like, oh, trade a third rounder for Uche, I'd be like, nah, man, we can use that third rounder to build the rest of this roster out.
Oh, see, I would give up a second and a fourth for Uche right now. I feel like he's worth that.
Man, Jake. I mean, hey, man. I mean, if he could transform us into a consistent pass rush and get home and get sacks, and he can be a 10+ sack guy, which is possible, then so be it. But like, I guess I got to watch more film for that to be convincing in my brain. But whoa, third and higher, man. That's a lot for me right now. I mean, again, I gotta watch more film. I've only seen very, very, very sparing stuff from him from my own end. But oh yeah, dude, that would be a lot.
The thing with him though is that with Uche is that you would be getting part of that he'd be part of the future. He's 25 years old.
No, I know.
And in addition to that, man, like think about this. You trade a second and a fourth, and you're like the first thought, you're like, oh, well, I could draft a. Yeah, but this is why the Rams went all out with their 2023 draft, because they knew that they could draft 7 out of the 14. If they hit 7 out of these 14, that's 50%. 50% in a 7-person draft, like a 7-player draft class, is like right. but
Yeah.
hitting 7 out of 14 is pretty big, and it looks like they hit on more than that potentially. So
I know.
you know,
it was a good move, man. No doubt.
that's what makes this easier for me to swallow, because normally I'm not a big like, oh yeah, like just throw caution in the wind, trade. But like Uche's somebody that I've identified. You know, he had 12 sacks last year, 56 pressures. And I feel like you put him with Donald, you put him with Byron Young. I really liked O'Shawn Mathis today. I thought he had a few that were he got screwed over. He was held on both pressures on Hurts. He should have had 2 sacks, but you know, Mathis is exciting. Van Valkenburg, I don't mind him at the bottom of a rotation. Like, it was a nice sack today, but like for the most part, like he shouldn't be playing that much. And they can't be having Hoyt playing every single down. I'm sorry, he's just not. It doesn't work.
Yeah, Jake. I mean, with Michael, I think teams are smartly identifying our schematics in certain situations. They really are.
They've figured it out now, how to defend him, or how to go up against him.
Yes, indeed. Credit to Raheem and for the transformation of the coverage schematics for the most part, but they can isolate Michael Hoyt a lot now. We've seen the last 2.5 weeks. You know, we've seen it, and there needs to be some serious changes. And I think Michael could play the run. I think he could be a big body and run stoppage situations, which I think he has been valuable. You know, we've seen him do it. We've seen him do it last year. We've seen him do those things this season in spurts when he's been out there. And I think that's his lane. It's just, you know, we all agree. You agree, I agree. Everyone listening agrees that we can't have a 300-pound guy almost running out there with tight ends and receivers, Pro Bowl level guys. Like,
no,
we can't have
that's
that
a joke.
happening, man. Like, it's just bad schematics at the end of the day.
It's just a novelty at this point, though, too.
Yeah.
You know,
I can't blame Michael because that's what he's being asked to do. And hey, you 300-pound mega football player, mega human, go run with this fast mega human, which is not your strong suit. Like,
yeah,
I can't blame him. And people will be like, oh, screw Michael Hoyt. It's like, bro, like if you're not a fast guy and we're asking you to run with fast humans, like, can we blame you for that? So I think some of the fan base gets on his ass, Michael Hoyt's ass, for that, and I think that's not his fault. And I think it's a schematic issue that we have to change, whether that's, you know, O'Shawn being the guy that runs, and obviously we haven't seen him much in coverage, so we don't know if he can or cannot cover guys, good or bad.
Yeah.
But it has to. We have to do better for Michael Hoyt. We have to set him up for success because teams are figuring it out. It's been 2.5 weeks now where they figured out when he's going to drop and they run wheel routes, long routes, whatever it is, where he has to run with those guys. And it's not his fault, everybody. Stop getting on his ass. It is not Michael Hoyt's problem that he's 300 pounds running with fast tight ends and receivers.
No, and that's the thing that bothers me is that you'll hear like he's slow, he sucks, and it's like no, he's actually incredible. Like athleticism wise, I don't know if I've seen an athlete like him. Like he's more athletic than Donald to a degree.
Yeah, like
he shouldn't be able to move the way he does. But the problem is, it's like the Rams aren't looking at it like that. They're like, yeah, no, this is how we want to use him, and it's just. I don't know. It gets frustrating, but hey, man, I'm gonna call it.
Pissing me off the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna call it. I've been on for over 3 hours. If you include the Bleacher Report stream. So
yeah, I know. I've been talking with you a ton. I've been rambling a bunch. I appreciate you being patient with my broken voice thoughts and all that, man.
No, you're fine, man. I figured, you know, I'd locked the waiting room because I just said, I was like, these are the last 3 and that's it. And so I was like, all right. Yeah. But yeah, I got to go get rest. I'm exhausted.
I know, man. Well, yeah, you're on that New York time. I forget. I'm on West Coast. I'm still, you know, we're barely 7:30 out here. So I'm like, I'm all right. But I know you're pushing, you know, 10, 11 o'clock right out there. So I get it, man. I get it. But no, hell yeah, man. I mean, anybody still here listening, anybody that will listen later, shout out to Jake. Shout out to his radio style calls. I mean, hey, man, join the Discord, join the waiting room, be patient, wait for your turn. If you want to talk with Jake here, man, he's a great conversationalist. Whatever thoughts you have, man, be ready, be prepared, and, you know, obviously be as PG as possible. But it's a good time, everybody, and don't forget to tune into all his other programs. So come on, support each other, support Rams football. Show up here and show up to games. Damn it.
Appreciate you, man.
Hell yeah, man. We'll talk not so late next time for sure.
Sounds good. Yes, and all right, take care.
You as well, man. Get your rest.
Will do. All right, guys. So that is it. I just dropped a what was it? My Bleacher Report live stream. I dropped that as a premiere, so you guys can check that out afterwards. Rams winners losers from Week 5 loss versus Eagles. I meant to get off the call before 11 or 10:30, excuse me, and I didn't, and so it's already out. So my bad on that. Once again, feel free if you haven't already. Link is in the comment section, the chat. Kick.com/JKBogan. I'm giving away a Rams hat. All you have to do is sign up. Once I get to 700 followers on there, I'm at 683 right now. I'll give that away. But yeah, you guys take care. And man, I'll see you guys soon.